Hello and welcome to another module of the AI Agency Bootcamp. This is module 4. We decided to have all 3 modules in regards to client acquisition make it into one big module. So everything in regards to fundamentals, acquisition paradigm, that's the first module, plus the outbound, so all SMS, LinkedIn, Instagram, plus on the inbound end, running ads for your agency. Everything is going to be in this module. So this is by far going to be the longest one so far. And yet everything in regards to you hitting your first 10K a month with your AI agency, that's the entire intention of this bootcamp in the first place. Everything for you to acquire clients is going to be taught in this one video. So if we slip up, we say module 5 or something is in the wrong order, you know why. But this is module 4, and without further ado, just sit back and enjoy. Welcome back to another module of the AI Agency Bootcamp. This is module 5. We're already halfway through with acquisition paradigm. So this is going to be a fun one. We're going to go over the underlying principle of client acquisition and how to acquire clients for our agency. I am biased towards certain acquisition channels, and I'm going to explain why certain ways of acquiring clients work better than others. But that's what I'm saying as well. If you don't have the financial resources and means to invest into ads or build a proper team from the beginning, the same principles apply to you doing outreach or doing lower leverage tasks in the beginning. So that's why we have to go over the fundamentals. And in the next modules, we're going to go over how to set everything up, the ads, the outreach, all that stuff. But unless you understand the fundamentals behind it, you won't be able to replicate these strategies moving forward. And everything I preach in the coming modules would only work for you once. My goal is to teach you how to think, not only what to do. This is a fun one. I'm, super excited to go over all this stuff, and a lot of these principles are very interesting, and fundamentals and why things work are a lot more interesting to me than what work. So that's what we'll go over. The main things are inbound and outbound definition and pros and cons with the both of them. Psychological frameworks behind why prospects think how they think, preconceived notions about marketing agencies in regards to the industry, standard prospects, and in what stature they perceive you. To break it down in a simple way, the 2 ways of acquire clients are the following: outbound and inbound. You either reach out to businesses themselves, which is outbound, and you ask them to jump on a meeting with you in order for you to sell them other services, or you build your garden, which is inbound, and you let business come to you, which you do by running paid ads on social media platforms or even posting organic content, which paid ads is going to be the dominant one of the 2. Think of it like this: you're trying to sell coffee to strangers in a big city. If you were to acquire customers by doing cold outreach or outbound, you would run around to a bunch of different people on the street, asking them if they're interested in buying coffee, and thus trying to sell it to them. Inbound, on the other hand, you would be standing in the middle of the street with a big sign showing that you sell coffee. These are 2 very different ways of acquiring customers and acquiring clients. Now, if you picture both of these scenarios, you can probably imagine that both of them could work. You would sell a solid amount of coffee regardless of what strategy you're going after. However, the issue starts to pop up when you're trying to sell a lot of coffee. Because what usually happens is you would start for a week, and the thrill of just selling 1 or 2 cups of coffee would keep you satisfied for the first 7 days. You'd be fine just walking around the city, pitching people one by one. Most people would say no, some people would say yes, but after a while, you realize that you already managed to sell a bit of coffee, and now you want to do it at scale. This is where outbound gets tricky. And this also applies to you doing outreach in the beginning. Like, the thrill of just getting that first client or 2 is so exciting that you don't care about leverage or how hard it is to get it. Just like the fact of just like that first bit of money hitting your account and the first experience and delivering for a client is so fun that you don't really care about things at scale. But then once you get used to that and that becomes the norm, you want to do it at scale. There are a few different reasons why outbound doesn't work as well. The first one being, when walking up to random people asking if they're interested in buying coffee, you have 0 clue if they're on the market for what you're selling or not. You don't know if they want coffee. Meaning you get 2 yeses, but in order to achieve the 2 yeses, you have to go through 98 no's. That's usually what it looks like. And that gets very exhausting at scale. When holding a sign saying that you sell coffee, not only do you get more customers because of the status psychology we'll go through later, but you also only deal with people that want to buy from you. And all you have to do was stand there in one place and hold a sign and just let people in the city walk by. I just mentioned 3 benefits in one with doing inbound. So first of all, more customers are going to come to you. Second of all, you don't have to run around like an idiot. You just have to stand there with a sign. Third of all, which is almost the most important one between outreach and inbound, is you only speak with people that are interested in your product. And that doesn't seem like a huge benefit, but when you're doing outreach, you're speaking to so many people that don't want your service that can almost hurt your ego or hurt the confidence that you have in your product that you're selling. Because even if some people want it, most of the people are not going to be on the market for what you're selling, coffee in this case, because you just don't have, you have no way to identify if they're on the market for what you're selling or not. So one is more customers. That's the first benefit. Second of all, less time and effort being spent on acquiring those customers. And three, you're only dealing with people that want to buy. The real game of business is doing as little as possible for as much as possible. How can I minimize the input to maximize the outcome? When you have acquired those first few clients, the game of business is just this. How can I get as much as possible for as little as possible? That is the entire game of business. And I've kind of, drawn that out here. This is described as leverage. The more leverage you have, the easier business becomes. Is how much can I get from little? This bow and arrow, you draw it back a lot, the arrow, and it only ends up here. And then with this one, you don't draw back that much. It's not as much effort being put into, shooting the arrow forward, and it still ends up over here. I would describe this one as inbound and this one as outbound. Business is all about the 4 C's of leverage: content, capital, code, and collaboration, which this is a quote by Dan Martell. All 4 are very connected to each other, and I don't want you to take this too literal to what I'm explaining in this module, because it's not really the principle of this, but it is a great way of understanding leverage. How can I use something that I have that other people don't to minimize the amount of effort being put in to get something massive out? The scenario of holding a sign on the street is massive leverage compared to the first way of acquiring clients. You're burning 0 calories by standing in one place, and you're spending 0 mental effort on picking out the people in the crowd that could potentially be interested in coffee. Plus, you save a bunch of mental effort by not having to speak with people that don't want to buy. Now, since this second scenario is so much better than the first, you probably have to pay for it, because as a business owner, you aren't just given leverage. Leverage is something that you have to work for or sacrifice in order to get. It's something you either have to work for or set yourself back a bit financially to acquire. However, choosing the path with the most leverage will always be worth it in the long run. So it's really just a game of, if you want to do it in the beginning or not. The only time you're really going to compare between these two is when you're starting out and you don't have that much experience, you don't have that much financial resources to kind of work with. The thing is, if you were to scale outbound, that would still be by you acquiring leverage. This is what people don't understand. Like if you were to go with this all the way, you would still have to gain leverage in order to scale the outbound. It's not like you just do an unleveraged task forever at a high volume and it will still work. You still have to acquire leverage in order to do that. Let's say we use the sign to acquire clients, which is inbound. We hold up the sign and clients can come to us, which in real life would be running paid ads. The only thing you have to do to make more money is spend more money on the sign, to the point where that sign eventually reaches above the buildings. Let's say you're standing in New York and people from other streets and even other cities can see your sign. The only thing you had to do was 3x the attention, was to 3x the amount of money, or the only thing you had to do to 3x the attention was to 3x the amount of money being spent on the sign. This way of scaling attention is so much better than scaling outbound. And so knowing that you have to gain leverage in order to scale an agency, you might as well do what's going to psychologically benefit you from a buyer perspective, because it's not only that it's an easier and more scalable way for you to get clients, it's also mentally a lot less. It's so much headache with running cold outreach. You have to manage more people, and this just like standing there and holding the sign is a lot easier. You just have to run an ad and then you can go do something else while clients just come in. So that's why since I'm explaining this, since ads and inbound is such superior compared to outbound, you still have to obviously something you have to sacrifice something to get it, because otherwise if ads were free, everyone would be doing that because it's so much better. Now, this is where it gets interesting, and I hope you guys can understand this as well. The 6 levels of purchasing drive, the prospect side of buying a coffee. This is the 6 levels, and exponentially getting more and more powerful for each one of these are essentially the 6 levels of buying intent or purchasing drive, meaning how bad somebody wants to buy a product from you. The first one, which is the lowest leverage, the buyer doesn't really want to buy from you whatsoever, is somebody walks up to you asking if you're interested in their coffee. Second one is you see a sign, and this is from a buyer's perspective. You see a sign explaining that they sell coffee, it's really good, and what it costs. That would be an ad in this case. You see a sign attached to an aesthetically pleasing cafe that looks nice. That's the third one. Fourth is you see a sign attached to an aesthetically pleasing cafe that looks nice, everything above, plus a bunch of people actively buying their coffee in real time. Fifth is you get told by somebody else that has bought their coffee that it's really good and you should try it as well. That's the fifth one. That's like the second to most purchasing drive, meaning from a buyer perspective, I want to buy their product more than ever. The sixth one, and the most powerful one, is you have seen that it's cool to buy their coffee and you're excited to buy the trend. So you can all attach these to, a marketing agency as well, an AI agency. Somebody walks up to you asking if you're interested in their coffee. Let's say I'm a roofing company and I'm looking for a marketing service. I'm out on the market for a marketing service, but I'm not really, I'm trying to find the best one to work with. Somebody walks up to you, meaning somebody reaches out to you via Facebook or LinkedIn or SMS asking if you're interested in their marketing service. Second of all is I see a sign, an ad, explaining that you have a marketing service, it's really good, and this is how much it costs. Now, you might not, for such a high ticket service, you might not say what it costs. This is more when you're selling coffee. Third one is I see a sign attached to an aesthetically pleasing cafe that looks nice, meaning I can see this attached to a good looking landing page or a good website, and the fact that it looks good and it looks professional increases the trust, and the purchasing drive goes up. Everything above, plus a bunch of people actively buying their coffee in real time. So I can see that a lot of other people in my niche are buying this service that I'm looking for, and that builds trust as well. So I see a sign, it's attached to an aesthetically pleasing cafe. It's a good landing page. I'm just going back and forth between the cafe and the landing page. That looks nice, and plus on top of all that, I see a bunch of people in my niche actively buying their coffee in real time. Fifth is you get told by somebody else that has bought their coffee that it's really good and you should try it as well. These two kind of go hand in hand. They're connected to each other, but this is like case studies. You see all these things, but then you also see somebody else that has bought it and that they think that is really good. That's almost as close as it gets to me wanting to buy their service. And then sixth one is you see that it's cool to buy their coffee and you're excited to buy their trend. Nothing comes close, and this also a little bit connects to the case studies, but nothing comes close to the purchasing drive of somebody that's seeing that it's cool to buy coffee and that you're excited to buy the trend. It's more exciting for you to buy a coffee that has it's trendy and you see it on social media than a coffee that just somebody else said was really good, but you don't see that much marketing and trends going on around it. This is what I'm saying. Nothing is as powerful when it comes to buying something or purchasing drive from the prospect's perspective as a trend. And in this case, this is AI. Meaning, while you could have the best service in the world and it works super well and it's been working for other people, you see a lot of other people buying it, which this is like the more lighter version of case studies. Is not that, you see people getting results, but you see people buying their service. That's like a lighter version of case studies, which works really well as well. Still, nothing would come close to a new trend that they want to buy. So these are the 6 levels. By scaling outbound, you might be able to gain a few of the benefits outlined above. You might remove yourself from the equation by finding out other people can do outreach for you. In today's day and age, you could even put AI and automations in place to do the task for you, which is what we do a lot of the time. These are all ways to gain leverage. However, what you wouldn't have is the psychological advantage over the prospect you're speaking to, which we'll get into in a sec. People buy from people they like. This is one of the golden rules of marketing. Psychologically, you reaching out and pushing somebody to show up on a sales call to sell them a service that they don't even know anything about, nor have a valid perception if it's going to be helpful for them or not, instantly makes them like you a bit less. Already the booking yourself, you have lowered your chances. Self-selection bias in your favor as well. Inbound leads self-qualify. They're raising their hand because they have a problem you solve and they know you have the solution. This is the exact same concept as design. You tell the world about your offer, only the qualified raise their hand and come to you. Without putting you guessing about the timing, intent, problem awareness, most aren't ready, which creates massive friction. This is another issue I bumped in so many times with the agencies that I consult. When people do cold outreach, I think I went through this in the third module as well. every single client has such a different situation and problem that they need to solve. So you have to constantly work around their situation and spend time understanding what they need help with before you can sell it to them. If you're running ads, the messaging in your creative and your funnels are already so extremely clear, which means that the leads don't need or would benefit from what you're selling gets filtered out immediately by your communication. You can also do a lot of these things on your landing pages to kind of filter out the leads that you don't want to work with. But the main thing with ads is you're just putting out an offer to the market and you let the market mold itself to you instead of you're just molding yourself to the market. You're just trying to please every single business within your market and trying to kind of work around their situation, which is just not, that puts you in the lower authority between you two. So thus, when we scale with ads, our process of getting clients on board, it can be much more streamlined. Eventually, when we take on 4 or 5 clients a week, we barely have to speak with them before starting to fulfill on our service. This is how you scale. You scale by having a batch of products that doesn't mold themselves to every client or the market. We have a set amount of ways that we can help the client, and we express those ways of helping the client in the front end process, the ads, the organic content, all that stuff, to where if the clients, probably fucked that up, to where the clients come inbound, let me switch that actually. Help those clients in the front end process to where if the clients come inbound, we know that we can help them, and they will in turn turn out to be a great client. This is what I'm saying as well. Like I have had clients that, their first 4 clients were in different markets, different niches, all have different problems, and you're exponentially like just 4xing every single metric of your fulfillment because there's so many different components to take care of, which just isn't scalable. And I'm not against this way of taking on the first 3 clients, but once you have a bit of money to invest into ads, you have to directly adapt. Because it's easy to get stuck up in this way of running an agency as well, where you're constantly molding yourself to the market, which is not what you want. And even if you scale outbound, I know people that have sent literally hundreds of thousands of SMS to the real estate market on a monthly basis, and still at that level, you still don't have the same authority as if you do when clients come inbound. We could even explain our offer in such a clear way that the prospect would mold themselves to our offer before even buying from us, for them to be qualified and save themselves a spot. Like some clients will literally see your ad and self-qualify themselves to your service, because you're positioning yourself in such spotlight with authority, with professionalism, that the clients see that and they're like, we need your service. We might not be qualified at the moment, but we can kind of position ourselves to be potential client for this agency. That's exactly the frame that you want to position for yourself. The commitment consistency principle. When somebody downloads your guide or watches your training or books a call from your content, they've made a small commitments. Humans have deep need to remain consistent with their prior actions. So this is even deeper psychology. These micro commitments make it psychologically easier to say yes to the next step. Status and frame control. Inbound positions you as the price. Scarcity becomes real. Your calendar fills with qualified leads, so you can genuinely be selective. This abundance mindset shows in how you conduct sales conversations as well. So outbound often comes from a place of neediness, which prospects sense immediately. And this is also gonna reflect in the way that you have sales calls. Like if you hop on a sales call with somebody that booked in from outbound, you're going to feel the authority is less because you finally acquired this potential customer from the outbound campaign that you released, or the outreach message that you sent out, instead of somebody just coming in from a lead campaign that you launched. Key takeaway: build systems that make prospects feel smart for finding you, not annoyed that you found them. This is a big one as well. Your marketing should position discovery as their win, not your pitch. When someone feels they discovered the solution themselves, they own that decision emotionally, and that emotional ownership is what converts and retains clients. This is a psychological trick you can leverage even harder with AI for the prospect to feel like they've found something special. I can relate to this a lot because I've been on the front end of this and I've been on the back end of this as well. I've been a customer for marketing agencies, for courses and programs, and I've also been the owner of all these businesses. And I can tell you this: once you find like a niche person, or somebody's content that you really fuck with, or an ad from an agency, like you feel almost special yourself because you found them, and it feels even more that like you have to work with them. And this can even work in your favor if you're a smaller agency, because you position yourself as more niche. If somebody finds Gary Vee's marketing agency, you're not going to feel as special because it's a lot bigger. So if you position your offer in kind of a niche way and you really like niche it down to the market that you're working within, that can really have an impact on the prospects that come across your ad. The micro-commitment principle, the psychological escalator. The micro-commitment principle is rooted in cognitive dissonance theory and the human's need for self-consistency. So when someone takes even the smallest action toward you, downloading a PDF, watching a 3-minute video, as we said, or even clicking yes to your SMS sequence, the brain creates a small identity shift. They're no longer a stranger to you. They're now someone who's interested in your AI solution. The beautiful part is humans will alter their future behavior to align with their past behavior, even when that past behavior was tiny. This is called the foot in the door phenomenon. So once someone steps foot in the door, they're psychologically primed to walk through it. So if somebody has watched your ad, or they've signed up through an application form on your landing page, they feel almost obligated to follow through with that process. Each micro commitment makes the next one easier because backing out would create cognitive dissonance, meaning subconsciously it doesn't align with their previous behavior. The uncomfortable feeling when our actions contradict our self-image. So these are a few examples of that as well. It's pretty self-explanatory. By the time they're on the call, they've made 4 or 5 commitments. To say no now isn't just rejecting your offer, it's rejecting their own pattern of behavior. So that's usually what they say no to. The reason it feels bad to say no is because they've came this far just to say no. But they're not actually, like, I'd say it's probably 50-50 most of the time. They're not saying no to your offer. They're just saying no to them wanting your offer as well, which doesn't align with what they've done because they've already watched your video, they've already booked a sales call, and all these like small micro nurturing mechanisms that you have in the funnel all contradicts to, or it all contributes to the, essentially the sales psychology behind it. The person isn't being manipulated, they're genuinely educating themselves, self-selecting into readiness. But this is the crucial part. Each yes creates a mini investment. Psychologically, we overvalue things we invested in. The sunk cost fallacy and IKEA effect working in your favor. Compare this to cold outreach. The ask is the first interaction that you have with the prospect, and there's 0 prior investment, and it costs nothing for the prospect to say no. And on top of that, saying yes would be inconsistent with their previous behavior. So the reciprocity layer, there's another principle for stacking on top, and that's reciprocity. If you've given them valuable content for free, content actually helped them or taught them something, they feel a subconscious debt, not in a bad way, simply in a human way. You gave first, and there's a natural inclination to reciprocate. When you combine micro commitments with reciprocity and consistency bias, you create psychological momentum that's incredibly hard to break. When was the last time you bought something from somebody that reached out to you? When you chase butterflies, they flee. When you build a garden, they come to you. These are just 2 main principles that you want you to take into consideration when choosing your way of acquisition. And still, like, that's what I'm saying, like these principles, you can still apply them to doing outreach if you want to. I'm not teaching you this to just be biased towards ads and making you feel like a super dumb idea to start running outreach. But still, if you're running outreach, you still have to apply these principles to make it as efficient as possible. This is not rocket science. Client acquisition states the law of attraction. Status and frame aren't about being arrogant. They're about being subtle, social positioning that happens unconsciously in every interaction. So this connects to the way we live our life as well, not only in business. In human psychology, there are only 2 frame positions in any interaction. The person seeking value, which is the lower status one, and then it's the person providing value, which is the higher status one. These are literally the only 2 ways of kind of dividing it. Outbound, you reach out, you're seeking lower status frame. Inbound, they reach out, they're seeking higher status frame. This might sound superficial, but it's deeply embedded in how we evaluate trustworthiness and expertise. Think about it in other contexts. You wouldn't cold DM a brain surgeon begging them to do your surgery. Instead, you'd wait weeks to find an appointment with a top specialist. You wouldn't chase down the best restaurant in the town asking if you can please give them money. You make a reservation and wait. You don't pitch top tier clients on why they should hire you. They find you because your reputation precedes you. It's all like connects back to if you have the biggest, best restaurants in the world, the best brain surgeon, all these like top tier companies, they wouldn't chase customers. And so even if you do chase customers when running ads, you're perceived as somebody that just like has an abundance of customers. Like you don't need customers, you're just putting that ad out there for, once again, the market to mold itself to you. And, you know, clients are going to come in that way. Worth noticing, you need to apply these psychological fundamentals regardless of if you're running inbound or outbound. It's not like you start running ads and all of a sudden everything starts magically working out for you. However, since it is the superior strategy, we'll get into how to make outbound work for you in the best way possible. First of all, you always choose between volume or quality when reaching out to businesses. So when doing outbound, you have to do one. I'm not saying you can't do both, but you have to adapt to the platform. If you want to stick to the quantity play, email and SMS are going to be the best platforms by a long shot. If you're looking to dive deeper into the prospect's business and map out a front-to-back presentation or Loom to cover what you do for them, LinkedIn is going to be the best platform. And really the only ones I'd recommend overall is doing LinkedIn, email, or SMS. Those are the only platforms that we have used for outreach. They're good for different things, which we'll kind of cover in a second as well. There are outbound strategies that you could do that would result in 0 responses after 10,000 messages being sent, all due to the fact you're selling too much. If you want a chance to make money with outbound, especially through email and SMS, you need to do soft selling at scale. This is how you scale a company with cold outreach. You do soft selling, you kind of do a soft pitch, and then you do that a lot of times, every single day. You either send something like this 2,000 times a day. Hey name, my AI has been pulling real estate leads in your area and a few of them are pretty solid. Figured out I'll reach out before they go cold. Are you taking on any new clients right now? Reply yes and I'll send them over. I'm Sebastian, by the way. This is a real text. Or, hi name, weird question, but are you currently looking for more remodeling clients? I've got an AI that generates leads and it keeps spitting out contact in your market. Happy to pass a few your way if the timing is right. By the way, my name is Sebastian. This is not an automated message. It looks natural. It doesn't pitch directly. The whole strategy of this is just like you're selling, you're kind of reaching out to kind of the local roofing company down the street and asking if they're interested in your service. These would be perfect to use for high volume on email or SMS. Or if you want to take a more personalized approach, you go on LinkedIn, you look up a handful of these every single day and you do research on them, their business, and then research on them, their business, and then film a Loom on what you can do for them. So this is more of a quality play. You either go the quality play, meaning you send out like 15, 20 really proper messages every single day to where it's so personalized and accurate to the client situation that, you know, they can't help but at least view the video. Or you send out literally 2,000 of these a day by SMS or cold email. This works because so many businesses are tired of short generic messages that look like you're trying to get some quick money out of them. However, it works at scale since you have the volume working in your favor. This is like, people are tired of seeing this. This is also presented in a more fun way, so you're going to get away with this, and also you have the volume working in your favor. So, you know, this is still going to work, but like for sure. We're still running this actively, but you need to do the volume. If you do 50 of these a day, you won't get any results whatsoever. What you can't do is send a handful of generic messages to people every single day. If you're sending less than 300 messages a day through cold email or SMS, you won't see any success. Maybe you will, but it's not optimal to your business growth anyway. Volume negates luck. This stands true even when it comes to cold outreach. Since outbound is the superior version of client acquisition, if you're going to be doing outbound, you need to make sure that it comes across as an alternative system you have in place for your agency, or that you know exactly what you're doing, and you speak with an amount of confidence that makes it sound like this has worked for you prior to this. The moment you come across as desperate or insecure, you won't be booking a single meeting. So I tell this to a lot of people as well. Like, if you're running cold outreach, it shouldn't look like I'm doing this because I can't run ads. The moment you come across as desperate, you won't see any success. What you have to do is make it look like it comes across as an alternative system. So you're also running ads, which nobody really does. Nobody runs ads and does cold outreach. But it has to come across that way. There are agencies out there doing disgusting amounts of money strictly off of cold outreach. So don't make up a fake perception of direct correlation between a successful agency and only running ads. That isn't true. However, what you probably can make a correlation with is the quality plus follow sequence of an outreach message that comes from a successful agency. compared to the ones that are just getting started. This is also heavily reliant on your mindset towards cold outreach. If you don't look at cold outreach as an efficient income stream, which I probably haven't made a good job of on the last few pages, but it is, like, trust me, I know people, their agencies doing $3 million a month only off of cold email, and they're like real estate agents out there doing like 5,000 messages a day. They're doing 200 grand a month, never spend a dollar on ads. So it's still definitely possible, but you have to play into the right category of cold outreach and not play the guessing game. If you look at outreach as a volume-based system, it gets so much easier. The moment you start taking the responses, the no's and the ignore messages personally, the moment you start taking the responses, the no's and the ignore messages personally, you have an extremely hard time to proceed. Set out a certain amount of volume every single day and stick to the outreach plan for 30 days. You'll start booking meetings. This goes for all platforms. So that was a big thing for me in the beginning. When I was like a couple months into my agency journey, I started to look at it as a system more than taking the messages personally. I realized that even if somebody tells me to fuck off, it's never personal. Somebody's just tired of hearing, somebody getting pitched. So look at it as a system, and this is also how you can track it. And this is how we track everything for SMS, for example. The date, how many SMS we've sent out, how many responses in total, negative responses, positive responses, booked calls, follow-ups, name and time, so what their name is and when you booked them in. Notes about how it kind of came about, how you booked a meeting and all that stuff. Show-ups, total meetings, and closed. And then if you have this all nailed down, and this also, you have the pipelines inside of Go High Level to track all this, but sometimes I even recommend that you track everything manually, because it's going to get tracked automatically in the pipeline inside Go High Level. But it's almost better for an overview if you have the time, especially when you're starting out, to do the SMS tracking manually. And you have the tracking sheet here. So just make a copy of this. You have it already. This is what we use for all our SMS campaigns. If you make a copy or you get this document underneath, you'll have this tracking sheet here. If you track the volume plus the results of the messages in this tracking sheet alongside the pipeline inside of Go High Level, it'll be a lot easier for you to track bottlenecks within the system and iterate upon that to fix the outreach. If you don't have data, you're guessing your way to success. So use this if you're going to be doing high amounts of volume. And it's pretty self-explanatory how it works as well. Advertising paradigm. First of all, I want to say congrats for making it this far. We're probably almost an hour, at least 40 minutes into the 5th module. And if you sit through the rest of this video, you're about to be given serious amounts of value completely for free. This part of the video is going to be specified on advertising, especially through meta ads and just running advertising campaigns in general, alongside the mindset behind it. Most of these principles are pulled out from my favorite book ever, David Ogilvy's Confessions of an Advertising Man. One of the best books about business I've ever read. I would also recommend you read it if you have the time. I'll give out examples of extremely successful ad creatives and campaigns that I've run across multiple different agencies and that consistently perform. You cannot bore people into buying your product. You can only interest them into buying it. This is a famous quote from him as well. There are 2 options for meta campaigns, not the only ones, but these are the ones that we ran for the most part. It's either image ad or static ad creative to traffic campaign to book a call funnel. This is once you're operating on a lower budget, I'd say lower than $50 a day. And then we have video ad to lead campaign to VSL funnel. These are pretty much the only ones we run. You can mix and match these, especially running image ad to lead campaign to VSL funnel. That works great as well. But these are the 2 strategies that I've seen work absolutely best for meta ads and when it comes to agency services. And which one you should run depends completely on your budget. If your monthly marketing budget is below 5K, so what's that? $170 a day in ads. I'd run image ads, and I've seen some of the static creatives that we're running perform so well for a very long time. There's extreme longevity in static ads. Also, I would say a lot of people are going to disagree with me on the fact that you should run. A lot of people just think you should run image ads up until like $50 a day in ad spend. I've seen some image ads perform so extremely well that like you're still just using that as the first part of the funnel, which, like, as long as they perform, you can kind of mix that with the lead campaign and the VSL funnel, and then the rest of the funnel and the landing page. We'll do the rest of the selling. Think of it like this: an image ad gets the prospect onto the next part of the funnel. It doesn't do any nurturing. It simply gets attention from the prospect and makes them interested in learning more. A video ad does the opposite. It filters out the majority of people that comes across the ad, but the people that stay to watch the full 45 to 90 seconds of the video are going to be nurtured enough to head into the next part of the funnel. This with way more buying intent than the prospect that comes from the image ads. This is kind of when you're spending so much on ads where you don't even want all the attention, and you only want to filter out, the high quality, high buyer intent leads that you want to sell to. If you're spending $500 a day on ads, you're not going to care about the ads that come in that aren't qualified and that doesn't have the budget to pay for your services. The book a call funnel versus the VSL funnel is the same thing. The book a call funnel is made to make it as simple as possible for the lead to understand what they should do. The VSL funnel is optimized to nurture prospects and make them pre-sold before booking a call. So call funnel, the reason we run traffic campaign as well is we don't really care about collecting lead information. We're just getting as much bang for our buck, essentially. We're getting as much as we can from the money that we spend on the traffic campaign. And we're just pushing all of them onto a book a call funnel. So it's like headline, explaining the offer, Calendly link, maybe a bit of information about you to build a bit of trust in the agency, but aside from that, we just want them to book a call. We're essentially buying attention and buying calls. Video ad is, you nurture them through the video ad, you explain about the offer, you explain in the VSL funnel. So VSL is a video sales letter. It's essentially a 10 to 30 minute video, depending on the niche, where you kind of explain your offer, and that's going to be on the website. And in order for the lead to watch the video, they have to fill in an application form with their name, their business name, their phone, their email, and then we can call them up and kind of nurture them from that point onwards. So that's kind of like a free training. We give them value with the VSL, but we also get value in return. The most valuable thing as an agency owner is always lead information. So we can leverage that. If you're on a lead campaign to a VSL funnel, by the time the prospects book a call with you, they will have watched a minute-long ad to begin with, plus a 10 to 30 minute long VSL explaining your offer front to back. You'll have a much easier time closing the deal with these type of leads. However, the more cheap funnel works super great as well. And unless you're trying to attract high quality leads that charge a very high ticket, I'd suggest you run a simple book a call funnel for the majority of your come up. There's nothing wrong with the image ads. There's nothing wrong with running a simple call funnel. It works great as well. It's really only when you want to be really specific with who you're targeting that you start to be more picky with the video ads and what you're running. And in the ad module, we'll go into the specifics of all this, how to set it up, examples of the ads, all that stuff. To make a really good ad creative, whether static or video ad, it's crucial that you follow this 3-step framework. Call out your ICP, make it clear in the creative who you're servicing and who you're trying to sell to. If you communicate your offer through the ad in a clear way, the exact type of business you're working with will feel a lot more targeted, and which is the absolute main reason why we niche down and we choose who we're working with in the first place. Speak to either pain or desire. So this is important as well. You have to speak to the intention of why they want to buy in the first place. Touch on the marketing problem your ICP has. A prospect will turn into a client from your messaging because of one of two reasons. They either have massive pain attached to their current situation and they want to get out of that situation. That could be we're currently spending too much on employees. That was a bad example, but they have massive pain. Maybe they've been on the same revenue number for the past 5 years and they just they hate to be there. They want to grow, and they maybe have personal problems attached to the money that they're making as well. Or they have massive desire to get to the next level, meaning they don't necessarily find their current situation exhausting, but they really want to grow their business regardless of what they're buying. Intent of the prospect is, you should point this out clearly in the creative. This is something that you can split test as well. You should usually split test circumstance based and problem based and desire based is what I call it, ads, to kind of split test for your niche which ones work the best. And also depending on your niche, if you're targeting a richer market, it's going to make a lot more sense to do desire based because richer people don't have that much pain, at least on a company business level. So you have to split test this as well. And desire could just be, we really want to get to this income goal. The difference between pain and desire is just your reason for wanting to move further is because you want to move towards something rather than move away from your current situation. So you need to point that out in the ad creative as well. And then strong visual hook. This is very important. Make sure you visually capture their attention, either with a picture or video. If your ad creative consists of a boring picture related to their work, that won't perform nearly as well as something less related but more exciting. It's worth noting that local businesses in general are pretty boring, so to make the creatives more aesthetically pleasing and fun will do wonders in regards to the performance. They're usually, used to seeing like HVAC ads, plumbing ads, like it's just boring stuff. So once we show something fun and something that catches their attention, that will perform even better. When you watch TV and an ad pops up, you never give attention to the informal, serious, professional, boring ads. You usually give your attention to the ones that are with the strongest visual hook. You also give a lot more attention to the ones with a bit of humor, those who seem out of touch with the ideal ad, or the ones that will make you laugh. Too many companies think that we have to be professional, or our ad has to come across in a professional way. The only way, the number one thing you should take into consideration when advertising is to get people's attention. If you haven't got their attention, you're done. So, and the best way to get their attention is to have something a bit unusual or something impressive or something that makes them laugh. The number one rule of advertising, get their attention, and if you can add humor into that as well, you'll create an evergreen ad. This is probably David Ogilvy's most famous ad of all time, which he did for Rolls-Royce. He was directly working with them and did their campaigns. I also want to say, this is one of his most famous quotes: when you have written your headline, you've spent 80 cents out of your advertising dollar. So once you've written your headline, 80 cents of your advertising dollar is essentially spent. 80% of your ad is the hook, and if the hook is bad, then you can't do much to save it. And this is his most famous ad: at 60 miles an hour, the loudest noise in the new Rolls-Royce comes from the electric clock. That was the headline of this campaign. Ogilvy created this campaign for Rolls-Royce in 1958 with the famous headline. This campaign itself ended up increasing US sales for Rolls-Royce. So the Rolls-Royce US department sales by 50% and selling out the entire US inventory of Rolls-Royce. After that, there was an 18-month waiting list, since the company had never been prepared for this type of increase in sales before. This campaign in of itself increased their sales to where they couldn't, the production was essentially paused for 18 months, a year and a half, which is pretty sick. Not only that, it massively changed the public perception of the brands forever. So not only, there's two different types of advertising: one to directly drive sales, and one to just kind of change the public perception of a brand. And then the retargeting ads actually does the selling. So you could sell directly through a top of funnel ad, or you just do the ad to increase brand awareness and kind of change the way people perceive the brand, and then you retarget them with that retargeting audience to actually sell to them. That's when you actually convert the leads. This ad has an extremely strong headline, hence why it ended up performing so well. It also has a very strong visual hook because of the product. It's worth noting that a brand like Rolls-Royce sells products that tend to draw attention naturally. You don't have to do anything extra with the ad creative to have people watch the ad. It happens effortlessly. This is a cool product in and of itself, so you don't have to do anything extra. For a product or service that isn't as glamorous, you need to be more creative, and I'll show you an example of that underneath. This will also be the case for a majority of our services. Since we're advertising to people that have pretty boring businesses, we're not advertising to Rolls-Royce or Rolex or something like that. We need to be more creative and blend in a bit of humor in the advertising. If the product itself is visually compelling, a Rolls-Royce or Rolex, a stunning piece of architecture, let the product be the hero. It does the work for you. If the product is visually, this is overall knowledge for advertising. This is not just for the meta ads that we run. This is why I'm trying to teach you this fundamentally and teach you how to think. If the product is visually mundane, a cleaning product, an insurance policy, a B2B software tool, showing the product will stop nobody. Here you need to borrow attention from something inherently interesting: a striking scene, an unexpected image, a human story, humor, or intrigue. The creative has to do the heavy lifting that the product cannot. So if we're selling an HVAC service, you have to blend in something that's fun, or that's something that's scroll stopping, that's going to stop the prospects from just scrolling. Pretty self-explanatory, it depends. For some of these niches, you can blend in, it's going to be more fun to advertise. Real estate is a bit more of a sexy niche than something like plumbing, for example. So you kind of have to do your due diligence on that. Here's a great example of another one of David Ogilvy's campaigns. This is one of Ogilvy's most famous creatives with the sub-headline, "I'm head over heels in Dove." So this was a campaign for Dove, like the soap company. It also has an extremely strong visual hook to catch the viewer's attention. Doesn't matter who like really comes across this, they're gonna watch it. You wouldn't notice that this was an ad in the first place. It would simply blend in with the rest of the content surrounding the ad, regardless if that's in a television, in an article, newspaper, or just in your Facebook feed. Like, people would watch this. This is crucial when marketing, and the point of this is like Dove isn't like it's a pretty boring product. So for Rolls-Royce, Ogilvy just let the product do the speaking, and then once he came across something like this, he needed to do a bit more work around it to make it more fun to watch. Your ad needs to be perceived as another post. That's very important with, it doesn't always have to be like this, but for advertising in general, but on advertising on Facebook, your ad has to come across as just like another post that they scroll. Because if they, like, it's super simple to see like an ad sometimes. You know it's an ad from the get-go, and you just scroll further. That's just not what you want. The moment the viewer's perspective this is an ad, I'll scroll past it, you have failed. Too many people are perceiving the marketing as a professional act where the ad has to represent the company in a good spotlight. It has been found that the less an advertisement looks like an advertisement, the more it looks like an editorial, the more readers stop, look, and read. Also by David Ogilvy. If David Ogilvy says this, you should probably take a listen. In reality, you don't catch the attention of the viewer. If you don't catch the attention of the viewer, you've already failed. This is a great example that we have ran for local businesses, for example. A few examples of the best performing static ad creatives that we have ran throughout the past year. So this is a great one. Texas Landscaping Companies. It calls out the ICP. How I sleep at night knowing AI gets me 100 leads every 30 days and I only pay after closing. Click learn more to access the system. The fun part about this is when people see this and they understand that it works, they're almost surprised. They're like, it's crazy that this stuff works. But it's not. It doesn't only work. Like, this works better than anything else. That's usually how it is. When people react, oh, it's crazy that works, because that's like, it's so unusual, or it's not like the regular type of, it's not only for advertising, it goes for anything. This will literally perform better than anything else. I've gone a 3% landing page like conversions on this, like not 3%, like 3 cents. We've been paying 3 cents per landing page conversion for this. If a static ad creative does that, it doesn't matter what your ad looks like. Like, the point of this is to get them to the next page of the landing, or the next landing page, the next step of the funnel, and then you let the landing page do the selling. So you have ICP call out, and then speaks to either pain or desire. This one usually speaks to desire, and then you have a strong CTA and very strong visual hook as well. Clear ICP call out, attractive offer, speaks to a strong desire that a prospect has. It includes humor plus a strong visual hook to stop the prospect from scrolling. Clear CTA as well. All the components above while still maintaining a clear look of the ad, avoiding confusion on the prospect's end. If there's too much like stuff going on inside of an ad, that won't perform whatsoever. So this is a good one. This is also like, I'm telling you, this one, you could launch this right now and you will get results. POV, HVAC business owner, how I sleep at night knowing AI gets me 100 leads every 30 days and I only pay after closing. This is the result from one of the clients that we consulted as well. Can't make this shit up. I'm cutting out all the ads with the cost per result higher than 50 cents and doubling down on the Squidward mean. Like, he probably split tested 10 different creatives. All of them performed the same way, and then this one solely performed like 10 times better than anything else. And all the other ones were like serious. It showed like, kind of, and he did this is for HVAC, but he did this in the pool construction niche. So he was doing that with like pool, just like boring stuff. This one doesn't have a CTA. We ran this as a carousel ad, so you can have this as well, like the static ad creative, and then you scroll to the side, kind of like a slide post on Instagram, and then that's where you have like the call to actions. Then when you have click learn more, but trust me, this works. That's what I'm saying as well. Like, this, you don't need to complicate this stuff. Like, you could launch this today and literally start closing clients this week. But it's important that you understand. I could tell you like this is what to do, but it's important that you understand the fundamentals and why it works. Ad creative speaks for itself. Clear ICP call out, strong offer, visual hook, and clear CTA. Customize this to your liking. I don't know how many successful case studies we've had with this ad creative. All know it works if you launch it. We have tested this in the Swedish market, in the US market, Spanish market, Italian market. This was in the UK market. Like, it works for literally anything. It could also be a good, like, AI creatives like this. Texas-based landscaping companies find out how a single AI-powered system can hand you 100 fresh leads every 30 days, completely hands-free. And then this is also like scroll stopping. This is also AI. That's like, you can create these images with like DALL-E, Google Gemini, or Artlist. This one was created with Artlist, I'm pretty sure. So it works, and you don't have to complicate it. Like, this is like the only point of a static ad creative. When you're launching video ads, it gets more complicated. Or not more complicated, but just like there's more different components to take into consideration. However, you're looking to start your agency and, you know, get to your first 10, 20, 30, 40 grand a month. Like, you're going to be fine with this. You don't need to launch any video ads. You don't need to hire UGC creators or, you know, film any ads yourself. You're going to be fine with this. So, and I just think it's so fun that these perform so well. Like, it's just like hilarious. Licenses are AI lead generation system to get 5 new roofing jobs a month on autopilot. And then you only pay after closing. These creatives made with AI also perform extremely well. Same concept in regards to the ad copy, headline, CTA, just a different visual. DALL-E and Artlist are probably the main ones to create like ads like this. Both of them super simple to use, either image to image or text to image on the actual AI platforms when creating these ads. To begin with, you'll be fully fine running image ads solely. I wouldn't recommend video ads to nobody until you're trying to go up market and charge more, like a more premium service, when the lead quality and audience matters significantly more. So, as I said, you're going to be looking at, with these conversions as well, like, let's say you're spending $50 a day on ads, that's $1,500 a month. You're probably looking at a 6x ROAS. Let's just be humble. Like, some of these conversions are insane. With this, we're literally going probably, I mean, consistently. I'm even confident in saying, regardless of the market, you're gonna get between a 3 and a 15 cent cost per landing page view. Meaning, let's say it's 15 cents. Let's say on the high end, let's say you're getting a 0.1% conversion rate on a call funnel, which is extremely low. But let's say it's 0.1%, you're booking a call for $150. Industry standard close rate is 20%, so you're booking like 150 times 5, that's $750. Your CAC is going to be $750, and then you account for like disqualified leads and show up rate as well. It's like, call it 900 in the beginning, even 1,000. Let's say you're selling a 6K offer, you're running a 6K ROAS or 6x ROAS, return on ad spend. But that's like, those are not good metrics. Like, with this, you could get a 3 cent cost per landing page view, and the conversion to book a call could be a lot better if the landing page is optimized. Once again, like, this is just to buy attention. Then the landing page does the rest of it. So that's pretty much it. And this is, once again, I gave a few examples. I'll have a lot more examples in the next few modules. That's when we'll set everything up, launch all the campaigns. I'll guide you through GHL and how to set everything up and how to launch the ads manager, pixel conditioning, essentially everything. So I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Hello and welcome to Module 7 of the AI Agency Bootcamp. This is going to be paid acquisition and Meta Ads Masterclass. So everything in regards to running ads, primarily for acquiring clients for your own agency, although it walks you through the foundation of running successful ads for your clients as well. The fundamentals behind paid ads, ad creative structure, KPIs, so the performance of the ads, and what metrics you should be looking for when running ads, business manager and pixel setup, live recording of how to set up the ABOs and launch, Andromeda and Advantage Plus, which are both Meta's AI features to better the targeting, which does a lot of the heavy lifting for you nowadays, difference in campaigns based on your budget, and then also landing page and funnel structure. So essentially everything when it comes to acquiring clients for your own agency. I think, as I said, I'm quite biased towards this way of running it. I think you're going to have way more fun running an agency if you get your clients through ads, and I'm going to get into a lot of the benefits of running ads as well. So we're going to cover everything in this module. Why run ads and why Meta specifically? It is by far the most controllable acquisition source. There is no other acquisition channel that gives you as much data and as much control in regards to scale as running Meta ads. Pretty self-explanatory. it's way easier to scale an agency if you have control over the data when it comes to acquiring clients, what your CAC is, so the customer acquisition cost, and it just gives you a better overview as a whole, and that's gonna give you, clear up a lot of the headache that usually comes with running cold outreach and all that stuff. Secondly, it's also extremely consistent, especially when targeting local businesses. Performance of the ad stays the same for weeks on end and won't get a higher cost per result. So it's very consistent when it comes to scale, and you're gonna have an easier time getting consistent revenue months. But it's also the actual ad creative, the performance of the ad creative stays the same for week on end. When we target a more sophisticated market, and this is not for running ads specifically, but this is between the markets that we run it in. If we run for a more sophisticated market, when we're targeting agency owners, for example, that's the cost per result and just the performance of the ads is gonna get a lot worse very quickly. So the performance of the ad might stay the same for three days, and then it goes up, and then we can really only run that ad for like a week or two before we have to switch out the entire ad completely. This is different when running it for local businesses. So we have had ad creatives, especially like static ad creatives, stay the same. The performance stays the same for a month, which makes it extremely easy, and you really only have to test new creatives like once a month. But it's extremely consistent when it comes to scaling your agency in comparison to cold outreach. It's a higher barrier to entry because of the capital needed to get started. This is both a physical and mental barrier for people starting out, which means mostly people that are competing on a higher level are running ads. But it's a lot of people, when they're starting their agency, are just not going to think of running ads to acquire clients. That's why I'm also telling you to run ads, because you're going to compete with people that have already acquired that proof of concept and that have a bit of more momentum. So you're already from the start falling into that category of agency owners that just know what they're doing. People when starting their agency are just going to spam cold email, which there's an extremely low barrier to entry to spam cold email. So it's just all in all a worse way to get clients. I'm not saying it doesn't work. It definitely works. But you're just going to have an easier time running ads. And that we went through most of this stuff in the acquisition paradigm module as well. And lastly, time is massive. So the total addressable market, everyone is on Meta, regardless of what business or audience you're targeting. Instagram and Facebook are the two most dominant platforms in the world. So since the entire world is on, I don't know exactly, but it's I think majority of people in the world are on Meta. Meaning you could, and when it comes to the US, it's like damn near 100%. So you can target anyone, regardless if it's individual people or big corporations, businesses, it doesn't matter. I've seen a lot of people scale agencies with cold outreach, and I've also seen a lot of people scale agencies with paid ads. Both work, although the ones scaling ads are immensely more consistent. So I've seen, it works with cold outreach, but the people that I've seen that makes a lot of money with their agencies that get their clients through cold outreach, their revenue goes like this. That's like the common thing that I see across all agencies with cold outreach. I've literally seen Google Sheets of their revenue the past 6 months. They go from like 11 grand a month up to 60, down to like 35, down to 11, up to like 20, and then down to 7 again. And then they have to restructure for like 2 months. They make 0. That's just not the business you want to run. When you want to 10x the output with cold outreach, you need to 10x your sales team, 10x the amount of accounts you're operating on. You need to 10x the volume, and you need to make sure that you're in a market where it even makes sense to 10x the input. In order to 10x the output with ads, you literally press another 0 on your screen and it's sorted. Which is also why it's a lot easier to scale, and you don't have those like big up and down swings. So that's a big benefit as well. Why is Meta specifically the best platform for ads? It has the best targeting by far. Meta's algorithm is designed to put the ad in front of the right eyeballs to maximize performance. Meta has spent billions of dollars to get such accurate targeting, and the amount of data Meta collects from you is insane. They're able to use that for advertising purposes only. So if you're skeptical towards running ads and spending your money on Meta ads in the platform because you're skeptical towards the performance, you don't know if you're going to get your money back, you don't know if it performs, to kind of shift your perspective towards that is approximately 97. Let's just say like Meta is probably the 6th biggest company in the world, maybe 6th to 10th biggest company in the world, depending on market fluctuation, but let's just call it the 10th. is one of the absolute biggest companies in the world, and approximately 97 to 99% of Meta's, which is Facebook's parent company, so Meta Ads, they own Instagram, Facebook, Messenger, WhatsApp, Threads, you name it. 97 to 99% of Meta's total revenue consistently comes from advertising. In 2023, this amounted to 113 out of 116 billion dollar in total revenue. So Meta made $116 billion in total revenue in 2023, and 113 of that came strictly from people spending money on ads on their platform. So highlighting advertising as the primary driver of the company's business model. When I realized this was really like a paradigm shift for me in like probably a year ago, to be honest. I mean, I still knew that ads worked, but when you realize literally almost all of their money comes from people spending money on ads on their platform, the only way for a company like this to grow is to really optimize their algorithm to make sure that the performance of the ads stays as good as possible. Because people only spend more money on the platform if the performance of the ads are good, and the performance of the ads are good when they know exactly who to put those ads in front of to maximize the performance. So it is Meta's goal to place your ads in front of the best people possible. Their only goal is for you to spend more money on ads in order for them to get richer. You're only going to spend more money on ads when you make your money back, and you make your money back when the ads are performing. So it is their job to make the ads work for you as well as possible. It's pretty interesting, honestly, but Meta has been, you know that as well. The amount of data they collect from you is quite scary even. And they've literally spent billions of dollars. Probably every year they spend billions of dollars on their algorithm. And now they also launched Andromeda and Advantage Plus, which we'll get into later, and how that makes it easier for you to run ads as well. But the concept of that is Meta nowadays has a way better idea of who to put the ads in front of than you have even. So you used to have to do all these like advanced targetings. Now you just run a broad campaign and let Meta's algorithm do the job for you. It is Meta's, no, we went through that already. It has the best targeting, the cheapest results, and the highest lead quality. When you run Google Ads, for example, you just really know who's going to come in from them. Meta is just like, that's where the majority and like the cool people are, if you were to divide it into like classes of people. But once again, that ties back into the TAM. Like if everyone is on Meta and Meta is optimizing for the best performance, the lead quality is just going to be the best. Now, the two best ad structures based on your budget. If you're below $50 a day in ad spend, I would just run image ad only, to traffic campaign, and then to call funnel, optimize for high lead volume. Image ad is the best. You're just gonna get the best bang for your buck, and the most out of the money that you're spending, because it's less information, meaning it's easier consumed by the prospects and the leads that come across that ad. And then we're optimizing for traffic to just send as many people as possible towards the landing page, where we have essentially direct to calendar. So we just have a calendar link on the landing page and let them book without watching a VSL, without having a bunch of nurturing mechanisms for a lot of people to opt out. That's usually what happens. And if you're spending a lot of money on ads and you're targeting, a very sophisticated market, that's a good thing. If you have a lot of people opt out from the funnel, but when you're spending $50 a day, you want to get as much out of those $50, or even $20-$30 a day. You want to get as much out of that money as possible. So your job there is to just like have as few people opt out of the funnel as possible. If you're above $100 a day in ad spend, and I would even say a bit more, but I guess that's like according to the market the correct way. Video ad, static creative works as well, but most of the time you run video ads to lead campaign, to VSL funnel, plus an AI caller. So this is optimized for high lead quality and low or the same lead volume. So this is, you don't really have to worry about this. Once again, this entire bootcamp is designed for you to sign your first handful of clients. That's the goal of all this. So you're just simply not going to need to, you can definitely sign your first 2, 3, 5, even 10 clients off of just running $50 a day in ad spend. The reason why you scale up later on, and the reason why you change the funnel, is because you want to optimize for high lead quality. If you're taking an agency from 50 to 150K a month, it's way easier to make $150K a month off of 10 clients that are paying you $15,000 a month retainers than having 100 clients paying you $1,500 a month. So it's you really want to optimize for the lead quality to be as high as possible, meaning you don't want to book calls with people that don't have the money to spend on your services whatsoever. So we have a bunch of these nurturing mechanisms. The video ad is longer, meaning most people, when they come across a video ad, they're just not gonna go to the next part of the funnel, which is the landing page. That's not the case with image ads. When people come across image ads, everyone is just gonna go to the landing page. There's not a lot of information to consume. Everybody like consumes the entire ad, and it's like, as long as it has, you know, all these components of a good ad, which we're gonna go over in a second, they're gonna go to the landing page. With video ad, you also want to have like an application form when running video ads. You want to have you know, a VSL for them to watch. It's just a lot of these nurturing mechanisms that not a lot of people are going to watch them and get to the last part of the funnel, but the ones that actually do are going to be nurtured enough and qualified enough, or they're going to feel self-qualified, because they're like, you're just not going to get to the end of the funnel as a lead if you know that this is really not for me. Static ads were consistently decent, never an insane performance, but also never a bad or even mediocre performance. It's easier to optimize for a lot of traffic, although that might come with consequences such as low lead quality. You have the highest return on a small budget with image ads, since it's less info to consume, resulting in a higher CTR. However, they might not be as nurturing and converting, since it's harder to cover a large amount of knowledge in a single image, though the lead isn't always pre-sold enough to watch a full VSL or book a call. Image ads are used as a super quick beginning of the funnel, and then you let the landing page and the backend systems do the rest. So we want to really optimize. Once they've booked a call, we want to have a lot of, you know, automations or reminders being sent out to the lead to remind them of the fact that they booked a call. If you watch a video ad, just taking this as an example, if you watch a 45-second ad on Meta, the like standard ad is probably between, you know, 45 and 120 seconds. You know, you're watching the ad, you watch a full VSL, like you're gonna remember that you booked a call. That's not always the case with an image ad, but we can make sure that they still show up to the call by just having a lot of pre-call processes and reminders being sent out to them. Video ads, it's a lower chance for the average lead to watch the full thing, not as easily consumed as an image ad. However, the ones that do watch the whole thing are going to be deeply nurtured and already have a good understanding of the offer. Thus, the lead will have an easy time following the rest of the sales funnel. Multiple different formats for you to test, slightly harder to find a winner, optimize for higher lead quality, and a more difficult self-qualification. So, once again, only focus on this in the beginning, but this is kind of to teach you the fundamentals of why we even run these type of ads in the first place. This is kind of how I look at it. Video ads, if you really like hit the spot and you find a good winner, like they perform really good and even better than static creatives. But static creatives, they perform like consistently very decent as well. I mean, if I'm going to show you a few of the static creatives we ran, like I never see a lower cost per landing page view than like 12 cents, and the lowest we've had is like 3 cents per landing page view. Like it's insane. So like the image ad, it's just like the first percent of the entire funnel, meaning the only job that image ad does is just get them to the landing page, and as long as the landing page does the job of converting the lead properly, then you're going to be fine running static creatives. Video ads can also perform really bad if you don't hit the spot, so it's kind of like jumping between these two. If you really like find a winner, you scale that one, but static ads are just always going to perform. They're never going to perform bad, but they're never going to like have this insane performance as video ads has either. A good performing ad always comes down to one thing only, and that is the likelihood of them watching the entire thing. So when you see an ad that's doing well and making a company a lot of money, it's because a large percentage of the audience consumes the ad in full. This is a lot easier to do with a static ad creative. However, if you manage to create a strong hook and a good and entertaining ad body, you might have a lot of people watch the video ad in full as well. Thus, you get the same outcome, but with an audience that is more nurtured and more invested into your message. So as long as you're like, you know, it still has to have a strong message and a good offer and all of that stuff, but usually 95% of a good performing ad and a good ad in general comes down to the likelihood of the average lead watching the entire thing. And it's a lot easier to watch the entire thing in full when it is an image ad, because there's like no information to consume. It's super easy, and you're gonna be done reading the entire thing in like, you know, and that's I'm meaning the actual ad creative, not the ad copy, not the headline. That, you know, if you want to read through that, you know, that takes a bit more time, but usually like a good performing static ad creative comes down to the ad, or a static ad comes down to the ad creative anyways. So the ad copy, the headline, what you actually write, it doesn't really matter. As long as the ad creative is good, it's going to perform. So with a video ad, most of the video ads that are being launched are so bad that people just opt out directly, and that's why they have a poor performance. But if you really like nail the hook and everything, and it's like entertaining to watch, plus it has a good offer, you're gonna get this like really high performance. Plus, if you watch a video ad in full and you watch a static ad in full, the lead that watched the video ad in full is gonna be a lot more nurtured, and it's more likely that they're gonna end up being a client. You could also relate this to watching a short form piece of content on social media compared to a long form piece or even a podcast. It has the same effect. So it's very easy for you to watch a reel or a TikTok, but you're just not going to be as nurtured. If you watch like a podcast in full with a few people, you feel like you almost know them after watching that full video. So it's kind of the same thing. The different video ad formats are direct ads, so you talking direct to a camera, UGC ads presented in a more natural way, often done by a UGC creator that you hire as a contractor. Podcast ads, you can do them as well. We have never ran them ourselves, but you know, it is an option. Usually comes with a softer CTA because you have to make it look more natural. But it's just intention of getting a certain message across in a less pushy way. So if you have a video of like two people talking to each other and you never speak directly to the camera, the leads that are watching that video is just, they're not going to feel as targeted and as pushed upon. So we're just like, it's kind of like if you like overhear a conversation. Like I think I'm a firm believer in that as well. If humans have like somebody talking directly to you and they want to get a message across, it's very, like, people are selfish in a way where it just doesn't come across as somebody actually having your best interest at heart. So you're not gonna have, like, if somebody tells me something, or if I just overhear a conversation and they say the same thing, I'm just gonna have more trust in the fact that what he says is true and the actual thing, that like it makes sense if I just overhear a conversation compared to somebody speaking directly to me. That's kind of what podcast does, but it's also a softer CTA because you can't like talk to somebody and then just at the end of the video just like have a CTA towards the camera. It just comes across in a weird way. B-roll ads, these are good actually. It's kind of a mix of, you know, you have like a background video, but it's an image ad, so you have like a video ad or a video playing in the background plus an image ad on it. So instead of just having like a regular static image, you just have an image on top of a video that plays in the background. It's a good mix of both to get high retention on the ad, so it's like more likely that they're going to watch the entire thing. Static ad formats, once again, you don't really have to care about this stuff. You're here to get your first few clients, but you know, static ad formats is a regular single image or a carousel ad. So that could be either you have a static ad, or on Meta Ads you could also launch multiple different images in like after each other. So it's like a slide post on Instagram pretty much. Those are the two ways we run static ad or static ad formats. This is one of the ads that we have ran for so many different clients at this point. It performs so well, like for our consulting clients. If you launched it, that's why I'm also trying to teach you the fundamentals. I got this from a good friend of mine originally, but if you launch this, I can promise you it's going to perform. And when you have this, like, you realize it's actually not hard to sign clients. It's actually extremely easy. So you have to know like the back end and how to like structure an agency, because anybody can launch this and then put a closer in place and then close 15K worth of deals like tomorrow, literally. But this is one of the best performing ads that we've ever ran. This was for a carousel ad. So we had this in the beginning, and then the next image was like a CTA. So we had a full second image on the second slide to dedicate towards a CTA. But usually you just have an image ad with a CTA at the bottom. But it literally just says POV, HVAC business owner, how I sleep at night knowing AI gets me 100 leads every 30 days and I only pay after closing. So we have the ICP call out up here. We have an attractive offer plus a clear and entertaining body. Super simple. This is what I mean. Like, anybody could consume this in like 2 seconds, which leads to a very high CTR. Strong visual hook. This is the main thing. Like you want to blend in some type of humor. It usually converts these type of local businesses extremely well, and then you have a clear and direct CTA. Click learn to get access. This consistently performs well because of the strong visual hook, an attractive offer, but also because it's so easily consumed and the lead knows exactly what the message is. If you scroll on social media, you know within the first second of watching a certain content piece if it's something you should be paying attention to or not. Your brain goes to, should I consume this or not? Does it make sense for me to consume this or not? Then you consume it. You almost have to establish to yourself if it's worth consuming or not before you spend your time watching something. This goes for both static and video advertising. I think if you like scroll on TikTok, you scroll on Instagram, your brain, as soon as it comes across a new piece of content, it knows exactly, like directly knows, is this something that I should consume or not? And this is just like, if you see this plus POV HVAC business owner, it's just like, you come across this, it stops the scrolling, but you're like, this can't be targeted towards me, because like HVAC owners are just not used to seeing something like this. And then it says POV HVAC business owner, you directly have their attention. ICP call out, a strong visual hook, speak to either pain or desire. The one above speaks to desire. David Ogilvy, once you've written your headline, you spend 80 cents of your advertising dollar. So you know, that's a big thing as well. And it like that goes for the hook as well. The hook or the headline can kind of be the same thing. Headline, he kind of speaks to the old way of doing advertising, but the most like scroll stopping component of the ad should be really good, because otherwise you will have zero chance of them watching the ad. A good performing ad always comes down to how consumable the ad is, the likelihood of the average viewer watching the ad in full. How likely that is always comes down to the hook. However, when creating an image ad, the visual hook plays into it a lot more than any other wording can do. This doesn't mean that you have to blend in humor or a cartoon, but more importantly, making the ad scroll stopping, thus something that looks like this is something that I should consume within the first second of the ad. The visual hook is by far the most like important component of the ad. It just like connects. It's just like alignment with this ad. How I sleep at night, knowing AI gets me 100 leads every 30 days, and the visual hook does the job. Like, let's say you made this ad, but without this picture, just wouldn't make sense whatsoever. So that is by far the most important thing. Now, the 6-step formula to a winning video ad. ICP call out, it's the same thing. I'm just going to go through this quickly because it's not going to be applicable to a lot of you people watching. We have the ICP call out, make sure that the lead feels targeted. You give meta info to place the ad in front of the right people. Value proposition, your big idea for the service, the product you're offering, why it's special compared to the rest of the market. You have the problems, circumstances, or outcomes. You should be an expert of this after the market research document in the business foundation module. So if you haven't done this yet, you just need to know exactly what problems, what the like common circumstance or the current situation of your ICP is, and then also the outcome, where they want to get to. And then that's like, if you're watching this bootcamp as a whole, you should do like market research is an extremely important thing. That's just going to give you leverage in the beginning as well. What I'm trying to teach you as well, if you haven't realized this already, is just how to create like these small vantage points for yourself when you're starting, because you're not going to have testimonials, you're not going to have a large amount of experience. So really play into what you have and what you have to work with from the start. Like market research is one of them, running ads is another one of them as well. Like really going a mile deep compared to a mile wide when it comes to like knowing your ICP is a big one as well. So if you can really master these things, that will give you like a piece of leverage when you're starting out. That's a big thing you should play into. So yeah, really like just spam the market research document with just like ideas that you can get of your ICP. That's gonna really be beneficial for you. Language, match your ICP sophistication, important in order for Meta to place the ads in front of the right people. Once again, familiarity bias. If a lead that thinks and speaks in a certain way comes across an ad that matches the way that they think and speak, they're more likely to go with you because of that specific reason. This all comes down to the deep market research. People buy from people they like, once again, and that's easier if you speak their language. So once again, this is market research, but like every market will have a different way of speaking. The barrier to execution. Your market or average customer lead usually have one thing in particular that's holding them back from making a change or investing in their marketing and growth. You got to clear this up subconsciously, answer this for them in your messaging. So in your ad body. Your ad body essentially just means the middle part, not the hook, but also not the CTA and like the testimonials and all that stuff. It just means you're speaking inside of your video ad. These are great fundamentals once again, but you're not going to use this too much, most of you at least. If you have a large budget and you can spend towards video ads and you're targeting a more sophisticated market, this might apply to you, but it's still, probably 10% of you watching. The starting 15, so this is kind of how you split up the ad testing and when you're launching video ads. I would do this probably with image ads as well if you're launching a big amount of creatives. But once again, like if you launch this, I can guarantee it's going to perform. So you don't, like, I'm kind of giving you the lead already. But the starting 15, one campaign, 15 creatives, 3 different intentions. So you kind of split it up in this format as well. Equal split it up. You can communicate your offer in 3 different ways. You can speak to pain, something painful within their business that they need to get rid of. You can speak to desire, something they want to achieve and look forward to. Or you can speak to their overall circumstance, current situation, touching more on relatability. So your first campaign needs to consist of 5 of each. The same thing, you speak to either pain or desire. You can also speak to, in a video ad, I wouldn't do this in image ad the same way, but you can kind of speak to their circumstance to really express the fact that you really know their situation. If this is familiarity bias once again, if they feel like, okay, this guy he knows about our situation, or our current circumstance, they're more likely to go with you. 5 creatives speaking on pain. So this is the way you split it up. You do 5 creatives speaking to pain, 5 creatives speaking to circumstance, 5 creatives speaking to desire. Pain creates high urgency, makes the lead act fast. Speaking to circumstance is lower urgency, relatable, you speak to their language and show that you're educated within their market. And then 5 creatives speaking to desire, what does your customer base want to achieve with their business? Speak to that. Lower urgency, but extremely aspirational and motivating. So I can speak from that as well. Like if you're making an ad that speaks to pain, they just feel like, fuck, my situation sucks, I have to make a decision now, I have to act fast. It makes them act fast, but it's never like a good feeling. They just they're acting from lack and they just need to get out of their situation. Like creative speaking to desire is more aspirational. It creates like no urgency, but it's extremely aspirational. It's a different thing. This also depends heavily on the niche, hence why you have to test a lot in the beginning to find your formula. So depending on the niche you're operating in, this is going to be different. The 5 creatives that you're speaking to pain might work extremely well for a lower sophisticated market, a less rich market, compared to if you have a rich market, they're not going to have the same amount of pain, at least in regards to business. Like if you're speaking to people doing 5 million a year with their business, they're not going to have as much pain when it comes to money and business. So their drive comes from like the aspirational part of things. Like they really want to get to 10 million a year, but it's not like, fuck, I can't be at 5 million a year. If you're advertising to a rich market, they probably don't have the same amount of pain or high urgency problems as the rich market. In that case, you want to run more outcome-based ads that are more aspirational. So just test this. This is why I want you to have the starting 15. And this applies to image ads as well. If you're running image ads, you can still run like 15 creatives speaking to different, or you could split it up, like do 10 creatives, like 5 speaking to pains, 5 speaking to desire. You're just gonna realize what works the best. Strong hook, the ABC framework. You want the audience, so who you're speaking to, call it the ICP. The benefit, so what's the upside of your offer, even before watching the ad, and then curiosity, something has to be different. Your ad has to stand out. This is a good kind of framework to remember, the ABC framework, when it comes to creating a strong hook. 4 types of ad bodies. This is also very targeted towards running video ads, and it's not going to be as applicable to most of you watching. But the 4 types of ad bodies when it comes to video ads. Clear offer body. Body starts with the offer, communicating in an offer first, clear way, what's included in the offer, what they get, who it is for, what the outcome is, etc. Preach the outcome, so tie a tangible outcome directly to your service. Make it seem unreasonable for the viewer to achieve the outcome without your service. This is we're gonna go into this when it comes to sales as well. So marketing and sales are extremely intertwined, and they kind of go hand in hand. So a lot of the concepts that I speak about when it comes to pain and desire, and just creating demand for a product, that comes to both. That's included in both sales and marketing. Communicate what's possible after insert offer. So after you've implemented your service, what's possible for them to do. That way you can spend more time on X, or have more money over to X, or spend more money with your family, or travel more, or have more money to whatever it is. Once again, this ties back to market research. You got to do your kind of due diligence on who you're speaking to before you know what components to really touch on in your ad body. Going against their current beliefs. This could be like most of their company, most realtors think that the way that they can achieve this outcome is by doing X. This is completely false. This is not the best way to do it. Special mechanism, this is kind of your offer. That's why like something like an AI licensing infrastructure, although it like doesn't make sense really, is a great way to kind of communicate your offer. And that's the way a lot of people do it with AI. How you achieve this outcome in a unique way compared to the rest of the market. And then optional proof testimonials, just like we done for this specific client that was in this situation prior. So you kind of relate that back to, that's the best way to communicate your testimonials is the situation you're currently in. Our client that has achieved this thanks to our special mechanism was in your situation prior to working with us. Once again, this is only applicable if you have any, so later on in your journey, or if you decide to kind of go the route where you take on a few clients for free and then just create testimonials for them. I think we did that in, I don't know when I covered that, but it was earlier in the bootcamp. But I think that's a great way for people to start out most of the time, is to actually take on a few clients up front. That also goes back to the way for you to create leverage as early on as possible. It's just to take on a few clients that you're gonna work with them for free, and when the usual lead in your market comes across an ad or a landing page or a funnel or a company in general, and they see 5 testimonials, they automatically jump to the conclusions where like, okay, this is an agency that's been in business for 2 years. They probably work with 100 clients in order to achieve like 5 testimonials, or at least work with like 20 clients to get 5 like proper testimonials. When in reality, you're just like taking these 2-3 weeks to like build up a few testimonials. That's also like a big leverage point. Optional market trend. This is heavy on like, I wouldn't include this in like a direct clear offer body, but it works. Market trend could be something like AI. Why this works extremely well right now, but I would kind of tie this into its own category of ad bodies, where you're really pushing on the market trend. This shouldn't be like an optional thing at the end of it. Pre-handling objections. Address their main objections in a simple way to these questions, so that these questions don't occur in the sales calls. And then direct CTA, 5 to 10 seconds. So call to action. Pre-handling their objections is a great way to kind of keep the sales call short and condensed, because most of the time the questions that they have on the sales calls is just because you haven't answered that prior to them walking through the sales process. This framework is very likely the one you're going to be using solely for your first campaign. There's never something wrong with this body. If you use this in an ad and it doesn't perform, it's because of the hook. Change the hook and you will find an ad that performs. So you could use this, and if it doesn't perform, you got to change the hook. This is like a safe way to run it. Once again, the only reason I'm going to go through, we got 3 more to go over, but that's more to split test, and something might work really well for your niche in your market. But to just be safe, this is the one that you can run always. Market protest body. So this is heavy market research is required for this type of ad body. The idea is to go against the common solution for a certain problem that your market is facing. So kind of like we just did, going against your current beliefs. Most realtors, for example, most roofing companies think that the way that they can get to $1 million a year is by doing X. That's completely false. Not the best way to do it. This way is like kind of protesting against that way of doing things. If you're struggling with problem, it's not because of this perceived reason. And if you thought the way to fix it was this perceived solution, you have it all backwards. The best way is actually your unique mechanism. So AI licensing infrastructure, for example, if you really break it down, full explanation and breakdown plus logic, no-brainer reason for why this thing works better instead. So like if you really break it down, this makes sense because of X and X and X. That's also a great way to kind of get your message across. Future pace what their situation looks like once they have your service and unique mechanism. That's exactly what we do with our offer, with this like type of delivering the service, etc. And then CTA, call to action. When advertising, you're not wrong for taking a biased stance against the regular way of doing something, or even another way of doing something. There are pros and cons to everything. And if you're preaching your way of doing things, your unique mechanism above something else to get a point across in your ad, that's simply part of the game. You might see a lot of people like taking a biased stance towards something and against something else in a market. That's like, even if you don't believe that's true, that's just the way marketing works. If you've ever seen somebody making a reel or an ad where it's like, if you thought this was the best way of doing things, like you have it all backwards, or I can't believe so many people are still doing this because this is the way, like that's just the way of doing marketing. And if you're annoyed by people marketing that way, you're just not the ICP for that type of ad. So then you can like go watch something else. But it really works, and there's a reason why a lot of people take that stance. It's just like, if you target somebody that is struggling and that does think that a certain way of doing marketing or growing their company is the way, and somebody that has more authority comes across and says, if you still think that, you know, relying on referrals is the best way to scale your company, or having a good product, like you have it all backwards, it kind of speaks directly to you. Big market trend body. Big shiny opportunity in the market. So this can be a market trend, new law, a new iOS update for Meta ads, for example, a platform changes making the timing unique. You're really pushing on like, this is a big shiny opportunity in the market right now that is trendy right now, and it works super well, and it's not going to work well 6 months from now. A great example of this is AI, the greatest new update and market trend that there's probably ever been. If you use this correctly in your marketing when selling your service, you can get a lot of attention that can be converted into a lot of money. I thought of this when actually writing this. I was like, to have AI in your marketing as the big market shiny opportunity market trend is probably the best opportunity for marketing ever. There's never been something that is so attractive to the average business, and there is so much scarcity around it and so much happening. It's just a great way of marketing. And if you can tie this into your way of selling your offer through the ads, it's going to be massively profitable for you. Tie to outcome, why they can't wait before they act, and why timing matters for them personally. So why you can't wait another 6 months before you start your AI agency, or you start implementing this AI system. And like with AI, I wouldn't even say that's the truth. Like there's no way you can wait another 6 months before you start like something like this. Like the people that act the fastest are going to be the ones becoming the most successful in AI, whether you run an agency or a local business, or you're just you're a startup or running software, whatever it is. Like this is not just something that you're taking a biased stance towards. This is actually the truth, and since it is the truth, a lot of people are going to relate to that as well. Introduce offer, your unique solution to this that helps them take advantage of the state of the market. So you introduce your offer, they've heard the scarcity, they've heard this big thing, but it's a lot of scarcity and you need to act fast. And the way you do that is through your offer, and it makes it a lot easier. Once again, optional, proof of testimonials, if you have any, and then create urgency. Because of the current state of the market, this won't last forever, and you need to act now in order to take advantage. Kind of ties back into this CTA, call to action. This could also be blended into other ad body frameworks, a great way to create urgency and get viewers to act with speed. So this is not like one big thing. Like you could actually blend this in, kind of like we did here, if you want to. I know I just said that you shouldn't blend this in like this, because it's just, if you're doing this big market trend and this is what you're pushing, it's going to be better to just like take the big stance. Like that's like the hook, the offer, everything. It's just like this big market trend opportunity. So it's a great way of running marketing, and you've probably seen a million other people doing that before, not only with AI but just with everything. Situational identifier body, this is optional as well. Mostly you're not going to run this, but it depends on the market, as we did with this as well. So having a few speak to pain, some to circumstance, some to desire. Articulate the ICP's situation, their problems, their desires, their common bottlenecks, break it down in a way that sounds relatable, and their ultimate goal is to come across as an expert within their field and speak to their pain points. So you want to do a lot of market research to make this ad body work, but if you can make if you can dive really deep into what the usual problems are, what the issues are, what the desires are, what their usual situation is, and where they're stuck and what their bottlenecks are, you're like 10 seconds into the ad, the ICP is going to know, like, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. You come across as an expert. Lead with massive market awareness and proof that your agency is specialized in their field solely. Give the offer specifics, explain the mechanism you leverage to help this certain market get an outcome, and make it sound believable and future pace the result. And then call to action. Start off with the direct body. Once again, if it performs below KPIs because of the hook, you just change the hook. If this doesn't perform, this is going to be the best way for you to start off. Test different hooks and different creatives to find a winner. Statistically, between 10 and 15% of ads have a ROAS, return on ad spend, higher than 5. Thus, you need to test between 6 to 10 ads to find a winner, depending on what the metric is. But the biggest determinator of a good versus bad ad is the creative and or the hook. So you need to do a bit of testing. I've seen people like test 150 ads in one day. That's not necessary, especially when I'm giving you, like, once again, I'm trying to teach you the fundamentals around it, because if you just like copy this and run with it, you're not going to see any results, and you don't have what it takes as a business owner to scale this further. But if you apply everything that I say in this video and you take this ad copy, like, it's gonna perform, guaranteed. So you don't have to do that much testing. But take these formats and then kind of run like the starting 15. That's what I would recommend. Make sure your TAM is about 20,000 people when running ads. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to run ads unless you're running it really locally with intention. If you're running it in the US, make sure it's 20,000 people or above within your audience, because otherwise it's just not going to be big enough, enough people within the audience where it really makes sense to like scale the ads. Or you could run it very locally, like extremely locally. We'll also go through, Meta has this like feature where you can kind of zoom out and like do a circle around the area where you're targeting. So if you're doing a super local and you're targeting like a certain audience within, that's also going to be like 20,000 people. Let's say you're living in a city with 20,000 people and you're just letting Meta's AI features do the targeting. So really you're targeting the audience is 20,000 people, but the people that the ad is going to be applicable to is like 500. You could do that with intention once again, but otherwise, if you're running it in a broad market like the US and you're running it towards local businesses, make sure it's at least 20,000. Campaign structure. Broad targeting. Initially, we would have to be very specific with the targeting, know exactly what interests to cover when launching a new campaign. I would recommend not to do that now, especially in the test period when the goal is to gather data. Meta has a way better idea of who to put the ads in front of in order to maximize performance. Don't put that responsibility into your own hands if you don't need to. Meta has invested billions of dollars into their targeting algorithm. Once again, like a few years ago, we had to do a lot of targeting, and the main idea of Meta was to like really put interests and like job titles in place to know who to target the ads for. And now we could just run a broad campaign and let Meta do the targeting as well, because they're gonna have a better idea of us than us of who to target anyways. Another upside with this is that it erases another variable for you to test. This is a big thing. During the test period, you're going to be split testing hooks, creatives, ad body, headline, copy. So not needing to split the test targeting as well can erase a lot of headache. So it's just another thing that you don't have to really worry about when you're already split testing so many different components within the ad. You want to let the ad itself, with Meta's help, do the targeting. If Meta has a hard time putting your ad in front of the right eyeballs, you simply haven't made clear enough within the ad who it is made for. So if you're calling out the ICP early on in the ad and you know like Meta knows who you're speaking to, Meta can do the work for you. So if that doesn't work, it's just because you haven't been clear enough within the ad. Use ABOs, ad set budget optimization, instead of CBOs, which is campaign budget optimization. We'll go into this when we set up the ads as well. This ensures that we can test the creatives properly. We want to have everything under one single campaign. When you're running ABOs, you control the ad set budget. You control the budget at the ad set level, meaning each ad set gets its own fixed budget that Meta spends on regardless of the performance compared to the other ad sets. When running CBO, you just set the budget at the campaign level and Meta decides where to put the spend based on performance, which takes control out of your hands. You don't want this, especially not in the beginning when testing ads, since Meta can mess up the incentive quite often, and you have to put the ad set up against each other with equal spend. So if you put the budget at the campaign level, let's say you have 4 different ad sets under one campaign. Based on the performance, Meta's like just natural algorithm is just going to spend more money on the ad set that performs the best. When we gather data, we don't want it. We want to launch, like, let's say we're launching 5 ad sets. The campaign is like the overall umbrella where the ad sets and the actual ad creative is underneath, and the like targeting is done at the ad set level. Meaning, if we put 5 ad sets up against each other with equal spend, let's say, like, regardless of the performance, it's going to spend $10 a day on each ad set, we can know after 5 days exactly what performs the best. But, you know, if we're just like giving, I mean, we're still going to see the performance, but if we just give the budget to the campaign, it's just going to spend on the campaign the ad set that performs the best, which if we're launching the starting 15, for example, we want to see what narrative to push to that specific market that you're targeting performs the best. So let's say we're running 5 to pain, 5 to desire, 5 to circumstance. You know, you just don't want to let the campaign decide, or Meta decide what ad set to spend it across. So essentially, when running a CBO, let's say you're setting $50 a day for the campaign, and Meta decides where to spend that $50. But if the budget is set to the ad set level, you just spend $10 a day per ad set, and then it's going to equally spend across each ad set. You get the point. To prevent CBO from dumping all the budget into one ad set, you can go to each audience set to budget and schedule, and then click the box beside ad set spend limit to set minimum and maximum per spend per ad set. And that's optional as well. Make sure to turn off all Advantage Plus placements. Advantage Plus is Meta's umbrella brand for automating a lot of the advertising being done on the platform. Advantage Plus campaign budget that lets Meta distribute the spend across the campaign. Audience placements, meaning which platforms it places the ad on to maximize the performance. That could be IG, Facebook, Reels, Stories, Feed, etc. And then Advantage Plus creative chooses a lot of the creative enhancements for the ad, which you want to turn this off as well. And I'll go through how to do that later on. You want to remain this off, and a bunch of other features that are optimized for e-com stores. So when doing this, like Advantage Plus, we'll go over the difference between Advantage Plus and Andromeda. But Advantage Plus is like an option. Andromeda is just like the underlying AI feature that Meta has built inside of the platform to optimize the targeting regardless of what you're doing. Advantage Plus is like an option. It isn't really as good. It was founded essentially because Meta's answer to the iOS 14 update were all the apps under 14.5 or later. So if you have the iOS update 14.5 or later on your iPhone, they ask the user if they want it to be tracked or not. So if you go into a new app, for example, you probably know this as well. You can like allow the data, or you can ask the app not to track the data. And this led to a 75% opt-out rate from all users. So this is like where you have to take a stance as well. Like you usually, if I go into an app, I ask the app not to track the data, but this is also what kills the conversion and the accuracy in the targeting on Meta's platform, because you don't like, they're just allowing people to not have their data tracked, which is a bad thing if you want the Meta ads to perform as good as possible. So this was in late 2022, I believe. Yeah, in fall 2022. Meta had a large decrease in available data for them to use for targeting. So retargeting audiences got a lot smaller. Targeting wasn't nearly as accurate. And as an answer to this, Meta dropped Advantage Plus in fall 2022 as a solution to their ongoing issue. Basically to measure the performance of a certain ad events that you could run, so purchases or signups, while still respecting the user privacy that came with iOS 14. Now instead of you telling Meta who to target, you let Meta's AI figure it out from the remaining signals, and now the less you constrain the targeting, the more data it has to work with. So that was kind of the initial intention of like blending in AI into Meta's platform, and then they recently dropped, I don't know when they dropped Andromeda, I think it was like a year ago, maybe a bit more. But this is more, Andromeda update is essentially a second and deeper layer to Advantage Plus. Advantage Plus is an optional setting for you to turn on when launching your campaigns. Andromeda is the underlying engine that's built directly inside of Meta to make the performance as good as possible. It's not something that you configure, it simply runs invisibly in the background. Specifically, it handles the retrieval stage, so when your ad is eligible to run, Andromeda is what sifts through millions of candidate ads and decides which one are worth considering for each individual impression. It's essentially looking at all the data from previous ads alongside everything that's going on inside of the platform, making placements based on the data. So Andromeda is just like, you can't configure it, you can't do anything with it. It's just an AI layer that Meta has implemented like a year ago, as I said, to make the targeting as good as possible, which is a good thing. Advantage Plus, I wouldn't recommend that. As I said, you just turn off all the placements, but Andromeda is really what allows us to have this broad targeting and not be as specific with the interest and everything. Andromeda is the reason we're having, that's what I just said, because we know the placements are going to be more accurate within Meta's judgment than if we do it ourselves. When running ABOs and testing new ads for the first time, we run broad targeting and let Meta's AI do the work. Once we've found winners that are destined to perform, we could make it an option to turn on Advantage Plus to amplify proven winners. However, to keep it safe and controlled, we'll leave the Advantage Plus turned off. So I would never dabble into Advantage Plus. However, if you have proven winners that you know work, like this one, for example, you could turn on Advantage Plus just to like really amplify those placements even more. But just to be safe, I just turn it off at all times. So that's it. That's pretty much it for the fundamentals. And we're also going to go into how to set everything up. So that'll probably be right now, probably clipping that video. But you go to business.facebook.com. This is where you set up the business manager and your ad account from the start. And we're also going to connect the pixel and everything, which I'll walk you through in the video where I record everything. We're also going to set up the ABOs and how to set up the lead campaigns or the traffic campaigns, depending on what you're running. You need to set up a personal Facebook account. So if you don't have one already, which most of you probably do, but it's good if the account is warmed up so you already have a personal Facebook account. If you have a personal one already, use that one. Meta is not going to show your ads on your personal profile. It's simply just a foundational platform to run the ads from. So if you have a personal profile with all your friends and family and all that stuff, like they're not going to see the ads that you're on. It's simply just like a platform that you run the ads from, because you need an ad account to be connected to your personal account. You can't have an ad account without the personal account. So just make sure that that's you have a personal account, and if you don't have one already, set that up. Maybe wait a couple of days before you start connecting that to an ad account, and then create the business manager, create the ad account, link to a Facebook business page, connect an Instagram account. If you don't have one either, set one up. Most of you probably do. We definitely recommend, especially if you already have a personal account, and set up the Facebook pixel. An Instagram account is good because then you can run the ads both on Instagram and Facebook, since both are owned by Meta. And if you don't have an Instagram account, all the ads are only going to be ran on Facebook, which isn't really optional. You want to have, depending on the niche that you're working in, you want to let Meta have the option to run on both platforms. So connect the Instagram account. We'll go through how to do everything in the video, and also how to set up your pixel. Now, the funnel structure. If you're below $50 a day in ad spend, as I said, a static ad, traffic campaign, call funnel, directly to Calendly link, then thank you page, and then pre-call nurturing plus a sales call. This is everything you need to run it simply in the beginning. And now you also know how to set everything up. Basically, just a call funnel means direct to links. So it usually looks something like this. This is something that we just built inside of Claude. But you essentially have a headline and then a quick sub headline, who it is for, and then you just want to optimize for as much conversion as possible. So you usually just have either like a big button, like a big red button that the leads can just press to get to the Calendly link, or you have an open Calendly link so they can just book inside of the landing page. Or if you're running above $100 a day, video ad, lead campaign, VSL funnel to the application form after they watch the VSL. Thank you page, this is where we exclude the pixel. So this is where we kind of want to fire the pixel in the thank you page. We only want the pixel to track the data up until the VSL. And then pre-call nurturing plus a sales call. So all these funnels are pre-built and ready within our GHL snapshots. If you sign up via the link in the description of this video, you get all the funnels pre-built. So everything that we have used, all the funnels, you don't have to build this or be unsure of how to build this or how to use this or which components need to be included. You just get all this directly if you sign up to the GHL account in the link below. This goes for all the Bootcamp modules, but if you sign up via our link, it's going to be same pricing and everything, but you're going to get access to all of our snapshots and everything that we have built and used inside of our agency. In order to watch the video, the lead needs to fill in a form with their name, phone, and their email. So thus we have the lead information to follow up and call them with an AI caller, and then email and SMS sequences in case they don't book the call directly. So usually this is what the VSL funnel looks like. We just have the big headline and then the VSL. If you don't perform, you don't pay. Watch the video below to see how. And then they schedule the call. But in order to watch this video, they need to fill in a form, so like the application form. Otherwise, they can't watch the video. You've probably seen that on a few other funnels in your life. So they need to fill in their name, their business name, their phone, and their email. Then we have the information to follow up with them. So in case they watch the VSL and don't book in a call directly, we have essentially the lead information to call them up with an AI caller, and also send them email and SMS sequences to follow up with them. And that's massively going to increase the amount of clients that you close from this funnel anyways. So you're not just like letting leads slip through the cracks. If you're spending money on ads, we want to get the most out of that money that we're spending. So don't let like leads just opt out, or just like get this value for free without following up with them. That's essentially the intention of this. So that's pretty much it for this module. Once again, you're only going to really use the static ad plus the traffic campaign and then direct to calendar, but you can kind of play around with that as well. Everything is linked in our GHL, with our snapshots as well. So if you sign up with the link down below, you have literally everything you need. That's pretty much it for the ads. So I hope you enjoyed this module. I hope that most of you run ads to begin with. It doesn't have to be expensive, as you saw as well. We're literally paying, a few cents per landing page view, and you're going to be profitable extremely quickly as well. We've had like literally some of our consulting clients are, signing their first client after like 50, $100 spent on ads. So as long as you have everything else dialed in, you're going to be good. And hopefully I broke some of the beliefs that you have towards ads, and that it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be complicated. First of all, thanks to all the AI that Meta has released. And so I hope to see as many of you guys running ads as possible. All right, so this is going to be a full walkthrough of how to launch the ABOs, how to set up the ads front to back when you're launching ads for your own agency. Once again, this will cover kind of the foundational setups for when you're launching ads for your clients as well. The more specific targetings and everything that we'll go through with that will be in the fulfillment module. So it's going to be a lot of broad, just like pretty much overview of how to launch the ads. So it's going to be very simple. This is a brand new ads manager that we don't really use that much. So this is what it's going to look like for you as well. Whether you're running a traffic campaign or a lead campaign, the setups are pretty much identical. So the remainder of what differentiates the two, you can kind of figure that out by yourself. Regardless of which one you're using. Most of you guys are just going to launch traffic campaigns in the beginning, so that's the one I'll walk you guys through. It's also getting dark where I'm at, so hopefully it's not too dark once I'm finishing this up. But you clicked create in the top left corner-ish, and then either it's traffic or leads. That's the objective of the ad, regardless of what type of service-based business you're running. But you click traffic, continue, and then manual traffic campaign. And then you have the campaign level, you have the ad set, and then you have the actual ad creative. The campaign is just the umbrella above everything. You don't need to do much here at all. I would name this just like test campaign V1. If you're running this for your clients, this is going to be a lot more specific. In that case, it might be like HVAC, Houston. Let's say we're working with a client in Houston, Texas campaign test V1. That might be the name of it if you're running it for your clients. But let's just name this test campaign can't write broad V1 to begin with. The campaign objective is traffic, and then you want to make sure this is set to ad set budget. Once again, if you set it to campaign budget and you're running $50 a day for the campaign, it's just going to split up the budget across, let's say we're running 5 different ad sets under one campaign. It's just going to split up the budget across those 5 campaigns based on, or those 5 ad sets based on performance of those ad sets. So we want to have as much control in the beginning as possible. So that's where we're going to set it to ad set budget, meaning if we have the total budget for the campaign is $50, and we're setting 5 ad sets with $10 a day for each ad set. It's going to spend $10 a day on each ad set regardless of the performance. they're trying to be tricky with this as well. Share some of your budget with other ad sets. So we'll share up to 20% of your ad set budget with other ad sets within this campaign when it's likely to improve performance. You could experiment with this later on. This is like a mix between the ABO and the CBO, but just turn this off to begin with. We want to have as much control of this as possible in the beginning. The reason why Meta is heavy on pushing, just like doing stuff like this, is they know that their algorithm is so much better than what we know as well, which is a good intention, and most of the time that works incredibly well, and that's why we're running these campaigns broad anyways. But and they're obviously trying to maximize the performance and make your ads perform as good as possible, because that's how they make money as well. But in the beginning, for the first few days, we just want to run this completely manual and with as much control in our hands as possible. Leave the A/B test off as well. Just a big rabbit hole they're trying to get you down, so you just leave that and then you click next. The ad set, just name this ad set 1, because we're gonna have multiple different ad sets later on, so you're gonna duplicate this and name it like ad set 2, 3, 4, 5. You get the gist. We run this to website. When you're running a lead campaign, I would either run it website or instant form. Keep in mind, we're just trying to track the performance of the actual ad, and that's going to be the same regardless of what landing page or what website we're running it to. It simply, the only thing it tracks is the CTR, the click-through rate, so how good the actual ad performs. And just have this as website when we're running traffic campaign. But lead campaign, you could run it to instant form for the first like 3-4 days, just to track the performance of the ads if you just want to get the campaigns going as soon as possible. And then once you know which ad creatives are the winners, you can switch over to website. And once you have the landing page structured, this is also for you guys who want to move with speed and just get data as quick as possible on what ads perform. You can run it to instant form in the beginning, but that's just going to be an option when you're running lead campaigns anyways. Performance goal, maximize number of landing page views. Cost per result goal, you can leave this blank, you don't need this for now. And then we're going to set the actual budget. So this is, let's say you're having $50 a day in total campaign budget, and you're running 5 ad sets. We're going to run $10 a day on each. You want to start this, I would usually start this on a Monday, the same way we did with the SMS campaigns. But if you're eager to start testing this, you can start testing it even before. I would also do, if you have a brand new ad account, you want to run a pretty small budget to begin with, so you don't get restricted. So that would be like, you could run $10 a day or even $5 a day for the total campaign for like 3-4 days, and then you slowly start to ramp things up. That way you warm up the account and you're less likely to get the account restricted or disabled. I would also not go, once you've ran like $10 a day for 5 days, I wouldn't go directly to $50 a day. I would just like ramp it up to $20 a day, and then 30, 40, and then 50 to be on the safe side. So like a week and a half in. Also, if you feel like you were going to be too impatient to run the ads on a small budget for a week and a half, trust me, you don't want to play around with this, because it's way better to just be on the safe side a week and a half in than immediately just being on the, risking ramping it up fast. I've had so many ad accounts get disabled and restricted, and the more time you're just running it on a safe level and you're not like violating their guidelines or anything, the better it is. And now, like, the main ad account that I use for my business is pretty much impossible if that got restricted, because we ran ads on it for such a long time. So just be on the safe side in the beginning. Also, let's just run this through first. Let's say you want to start off on a Monday and then set this to midnight. Always start the campaign on midnight. Also, you can customize this to so midnight for the actual time zone that you're running the ads in. So let's say you're targeting businesses in the US. We just set it to like standard central time zone or like mountain time in the US. So it's pretty similar to all time zones. Also, I want to preface this as well. Like, I don't know, I can't actually remember where you get like taxed with like Apple fees. And also where you, because now it says a set and end date. I've had a few times before. I think it was when I ran like ads for my phone, which I wouldn't recommend any of you guys do. But sometimes you can like pay for the entire campaign upfront, which I would never do. Always like spend on the ads run the ad campaign until paused, so it like spends every single day from your bank account essentially, and then you could just pause the campaign at any time. Because if you set the campaign for like 14 days, you know that it's going to run for the next 14 days. You usually pay the entire cost of the campaign upfront. So I think one time I spent like, I was doing $100 a day in ad spend, and I did it for like, I just paid upfront for like a 14-day campaign. That was like $1,400, and then my ad account got disabled the second day and I couldn't get it back. So that was like $1,400, you know, spent for nothing. So just make sure you don't do that. Also, I think it might be some different settings, or if you're like spending from your phone, but they're going to charge you like Apple fees, which are like 20%. So if you're running a campaign like $50 a day, you're going to be paying $60 a day for no reason. If it's 100, you're going to spend like $120 a day. Make sure you turn that off. If you run it from the like Ads Manager from your computer, that's not going to be the case. You're going to be on the safe side. But I'm just letting you know, just be cautious of those things, so you don't just like spend too much money or you lose your money. End date, you don't need to set an end date. We're just going to run this to paused once again. Advantage Plus audience, I would usually have this turned off. Location is going to be in the United States for the absolute most of you watching. You could do like United States and Canada, and then Advantage Plus, I would, if you want to do like more manual placements on the ads, once again, you could run broad campaigns and they're going to perform super good, but you could further limit the reach of your ads. So this is where you're going to be more manual and have more control when it comes to the targeting. Once again, you could do United States and Canada. The reason I wouldn't do Canada is because you're going to be charging Canadian dollars, which are like 0.7 or even 0.6 of the US dollar, and then you're just gonna like they're measuring price the same way. So like 10k US dollars for an American is the same amount of money as 10k Canadian dollars for a Canadian. Like I've seen so many people just start off operating in the Canadian market and then they switch to the US market, and all of a sudden they're making like 40-50% more money just because they're operating in a different currency. So I would just run this in the US. Make this simple for yourself. Don't get into the like Canadian market or do any of these things when you're starting out. Just run it in the US. For you, you're gonna run it in the US. Never like you're gonna have a niche, but never run the niche in a certain location. That's just dumb. Unless you're actually from that location and you can like have a leverage point that way. If you're like based in California, you can start off the campaigns in California. But you get the point. Otherwise, you could like, let's say you're running this for your clients and you're running it in Houston once again. You could do like Houston, Texas, and the United States, and then you could do like radius, either within the current city only, or you could like determine the radius. You're usually going to get requirements from the clients where they want the ads ran, and if you don't have that, that's usually something I would ask them for. This is just like a brief walkthrough of what we're going to cover in the fulfillment module. But let's say you're running at 80 kilometers. It's going to be more wide, or very local. You could run like, I think it goes down 17, so that's like more local. But in the beginning, just run this in the United States. That's going to give the best performance. And then age, I would set this to based on your niche once again, but let's say most local businesses, you're going to be, you know, the best. This is actually the same for the business that you're targeting for your agency and the people that you target when you're running the ads for your clients. I would usually just set this to 30 to 55. That's the, you know, performance or the targeting I've seen the best results in. You can do 65 as well, just because they're so, you know, Meta's going to do the placements once again. I'm going to repeat myself a lot of times, just saying Meta does the placements better than we ever could, so it doesn't really matter. But just don't go below 30. You're gonna, you know, target a audience that's less sophisticated, which we don't want. Demographics, let's say we're running HVAC. Most of the time, if you're running these ads for yourself, you know, either you run like for HVAC businesses, I would do only interest, never do job titles. And in HVAC, you could do like the sub interest as well. Obviously HVAC stands for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, so you could do those three, like heating, for example. So interest, once again, like it doesn't really matter. Let's say you want to do like ventilation, you can do that as well. Heat recovery, ventilation, interest, you get the point. But most of the time I just run this broad and don't have any interest whatsoever. Once again, if your ads don't perform, when you're running broad targeting, it's just because you haven't been clear enough in your ad copy, in your ad body, in your hook, your headline, whatever it is, who it is for. Because if you are clear with that, Meta's going to understand who you're trying to target and then make the placements 10 times better than you ever could yourself. That's pretty much it for the audience. You can leave the rest of this blank. Just make sure to turn off the Advantage Plus. Advantage Plus is just the worst of the two when it comes to Meta making or utilizing AI to make the placements better. Just turn it off. That's pretty much it for the ads level. You click next, and this is where you have your Facebook profile, and then you're also gonna have your Instagram profile. Now this isn't connected because this is a new ads manager, and I never really use this one. But you're gonna have your Facebook page and your Instagram page. That's the only thing you need, and you're gonna have already connected these in like previously in this module. So that's gonna be all good. And then manual upload a single image or video. The destination, this is where you link the actual destination of the landing page. So let's say either you're gonna run this to your website. We have done that in the past. Keep in mind, like you're not gonna have millions of visitors on your website anyway. So if you have like your landing page or like the actual funnel published under a public domain, so your actual website, you can do that, or you could extract the URL that you get inside of the funnel builder inside of GHL. So let's say you launch the funnel inside of Go High Level, you're gonna get a URL from inside of the Go High Level builder that you could just paste, and then it isn't published under a public domain. So only the people that actually come across the ad are going to be able to go onto that landing page, but nobody else is going to be able to. But whatever it is, if it's a public domain or it's just a regular URL, you could paste that inside of here. Ad creative is where you set up the actual creative. So you click image ad. That's going to be the case for most of you. And this once again where you paste the landing page, and then you go to media. This is where you upload the actual image. So whether it's a video, you would have to go back to select that, but say I want to use this one, and then click next. Here's where for everyone, I just recommend to use AI to take care of all this. So this is the ad copy, and then you have the headline, and then you have the description. Literally just take a screenshot of this, paste it into whatever LLM you're using. I would use Claude Opus. So Claude Opus, that's the best LLM in my opinion, but you could like literally take a screenshot of this and then just paste it inside of Claude, tell it, this is my offer, this is my service delivery, this is what my company does, this is our unique mechanism, this is the angle that we're using for marketing, and I want it to be unique. And then just tell it, like, write me a good ad copy, write me a good headline, and write me a good description that's going to be scroll stopping, that's going to convert a lot of leads. This is what we're optimizing it for. We're running a traffic campaign with an image ad, and this is the landing page. We're running direct to calendar, everything. And just tell it, write me a good ad copy that fits. Write me like 5 different ad copies, 5 different headlines, 5 different descriptions. The call to action is always going to be learn more. I've always seen the best performance with this, and there's no reason to run it to anything else. But these just let AI do this. It has a way better idea of how to do this than you do anyways. Headline, for as an example, that could be like 30% off AI roofing, or 30% off our custom AI roofing sales system. For example, that could be a headline, but you can give it like inspo as well. Let's say like this is the headline you want to take inspo from. You just let AI do the rest of it. But most of the time, if you're just clear enough and you know how to prompt the LLM to make all of this, you're gonna be good. So let's just give it all this, and then you head to image generation. Just leave all this blank. You don't want to dabble into any of this. And then the enhancements. These are just like creative enhancements that Meta suggests for some reason. I don't know anybody that uses this. So just turn all this off. It's trying to like add music or like add overlays. You see visual touch-ups, text improvements. Like it's just like this has never improved performance of the ads whatsoever. So just leave the creative enhancements off. Now these were already off once I got in here, but yeah, just make sure, because otherwise they're gonna like make a bunch of different split tests. You're gonna have some ads that have like music over it. Just have the ad as it is. And this is not one thing. Like I would recommend during the test period, I would recommend every one of you just like run it pretty manual. This is just one thing with the creative enhancements. Never turn this on. Even if when you've found winners, like just take it from me. I've never seen any good performance come from this. Click done. And that's pretty much it for the ad set. Now, obviously, there's nothing included here because I haven't had any ad copy or any text above it, but you're going to see like a preview of the actual ad. And then you can click advanced preview to get it like the full picture of it. But that's pretty much it. It's literally this simple. Let AI do the heavy lifting for you. Meta's Andromeda update is going to place the ads in front of the right people anyway, so you're going to be fully fine. You don't have to do any advanced stuff with the targeting. And that's pretty much it. And then you have to duplicate the ad sets as well, once again. Almost forgot. So duplicate. Leave the Advantage Plus audience on. I don't even know if this is true. They're just trying to handle too much of the targeting themselves, but just leave this off. Once again, to scale proven winners that you already have proof of concept in and momentum, you know that they perform, you could like count a dabble in Advantage Plus, but especially when you're trying to test different creatives, just leave this off. Click continue, and the original campaign. So however many times you're trying to duplicate it, I have one ad set already and I'm trying to have 5. So I'll duplicate it 4 times. You duplicate all the ad sets. And now you have 5 different ad sets with 5 different creators underneath it. When you're testing these things, make sure to, now we'll go into the second ad set. So this should just be ad set 2. And then I have, instead of the third one, I have ad set 3. You get the point. And then if you're testing a bunch of different, like this, you could name, I forgot to name this by the way. Let's say you're like ad creative, or actually just the Squidward meme that I showed, for example. You like Squidward ad creative 1. Just keep track of everything. And then this could be like, say you're testing a different one with Pikachu. A lot of the like best performing ad creatives that we have tested are like, they have a lot of humor in it. And that goes back to the acquisition paradigm module as well, where if you have a fancy product, which most local businesses and like any of these businesses that you're gonna target when you're offering your services, they're not gonna have a fancy service or product where they let the product itself do the heavy lifting. So most of the time you're gonna run like humorous, like Pikachu, Squidward, Tom and Jerry, like I showed in the, that was also in the acquisition paradigm module. Just, it really performs really well. Let's say like Pikachu ad creative 1, or that's ad creative 2, for example. You get the point. And then you can run like a more serious campaign. So like, you get the point. But just to have a better overview and structure of everything, name each ad creative, and then the ad set should just be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then publish it. Preview, publish all this. You're gonna get the a good idea of how everything performs. Usually with day 1 or 2, these perform so consistently as well. If anything, the first, usually the way it kind of goes is like it takes a while before Meta understands who to place the ads in front of. So the first day is going to perform a bit worse, and then you're going to have the peak performance is going to be from like day 3 all the way up until like day 30 with these type of ads. And then later on, they will slowly start to, if you really saturated the market with these type of ads, what happens is majority of your market is going to have seen these ads after like 30 days. So every single time they come across your ad, they're just going to scroll past it. So then you have to kind of test new ads. But depending on the market, depending on the ad as well, the performance is going to be more or less consistent. And within local businesses, they perform like, they have the same performance for like 1 or 2 months. You can run the same ad creatives for a very long time. And if you have a winner, just like keep spending money on that one. Once again, most of you that are just trying to get into this and run ads in the beginning, you could run an image ad, and you're not like, the only intention of that image ad is to get them into the next part of the funnel. So you're not gonna like, test a bunch of different ads, which is super nice for you as well. You could literally take the creatives that I just gave you and run them, and they're guaranteed to perform. You're gonna be amazed by how well literally those ad creatives perform. And you really don't have to change too much else. Later on, once you get more complicated, you have to test different ad bodies, different hooks, different CTAs, different angles with your creatives once you're running video ads. But that's later on, once you'll have a much better idea of who you're targeting, your market, which angle you should work between, if it's circumstance based, if it's pain based, if you're speaking to desire. But for now, you just run these and they're gonna perform super well. That's pretty much it. The lead campaign is super similar. You're not gonna have a big difference between running traffic campaigns and lead campaigns. So yeah, I'm excited to see the performance of this once you run it for yourself. And that's pretty much it for the ad module. Hi, welcome to module 6 of the AI Agency Bootcamp. This is going to be an outreach module, a bit of a shorter one, but we're going to cover pretty much the only outreach and outbound systems that I think are even worth running if you don't plan to run ads, which is going to be a lot of you. I'll run you through a quick document, just walking you through some scripts and kind of the fundamentals behind it, and why these are the main platforms that we use. The only ones that I'm really going to go through is automated cold SMS, which is the quantity play, and then LinkedIn outreach, which is more quality play. You can definitely run both of these at the same time. I did that when I was starting out. And there's a bunch of other ways around this, but I'm not going to teach you anything that I, haven't done myself. So these are the two main ones that I, rely heavy on when we're consulting clients from the start, and that I also did in the beginning of my journey. Honorable mention is cold calling. I just want to have this in there because it is an efficient way of doing cold outreach and getting your first few clients, but it's not, I've never done it myself. I wouldn't recommend it really. So, but I have it in here because I know a lot of people are, doing a lot of volume and booking a lot of meetings through that. So it's a lower leverage quantity play. It's still the quantity play like SMSs, meaning you rely on a lot of volume to book meetings, but it's lower leverage. And I just wouldn't really say it's worth it nowadays. The entire mindset behind acquisition is already covered in the module before this. So if you haven't watched that one already, go do so. That one is way more interesting, if I'm being honest, than setting everything up. That's teaching all the fundamentals behind client acquisition and the mindset and psychology behind the buyer intent of the customers and all that stuff. One thing I do want to note is that when doing cold outreach, you have to make a choice between quality and quantity. Now, once again, I'm not saying that you can't run both of these at the same time, but you have to use each platform for what they're made for. You can't half-ass any of these or do them wrong. And I'll get into what that means in a second. The people that hover around in the middle of the two will fail. This doesn't mean that you can't leverage both platforms at the same time, but it means you have to use each platform to its fullest and what it's good for. If you send semi-personalized messages that are sort of qualitative, you will fail. If you send below 500 messages a day on SMS, you will fail. Your competitive advantage when doing outreach is that you're truly using the platform for what it's made for. If you choose the quality route, your competitive advantage is that you're making really qualitative outbound messages. If you choose the quantity route, your competitive advantage is that you're doing a lot of volume. Both of these work, but you can't half-ass them. Meaning, LinkedIn, in my opinion, is almost made for doing quality messages. You can't half-ass the quality. If you're being provided the opportunity of sending 100, maybe even 50 max messages a day through LinkedIn, you have to use it to its fullest. Meaning, you can't send like just boring openers on LinkedIn and think that that's going to work. And you also have the opportunity to send a lot of volume through cold SMS, meaning you should use this to its fullest. You should use it what it's made for, which is just sending a simple opener and kind of soft selling with a lot of volume. So I'll go over both rules for both SMS and LinkedIn, how to use the different platforms, and how to build momentum as fast as possible. Both LinkedIn and SMS are sensitive to large amounts of volume and acts that violate the guidelines of the platform. Although I almost always recommend outbound as a good way to get the first handful of clients, and to then allocate that capital towards ads to scale further, I do want to go against all negative notions that people have towards outreach. I usually say ads is what I recommend by far. And if you don't understand why, you can go watch the module before this if you haven't already. But, outreach is still a great way of getting a lot of clients. And if you do it correctly and you use it for what it's made for, once again, you can scale to really high levels. The majority of the people that I know personally in the agency space have never spent a dime on ads. Meaning people doing 200K a month, people that have exited for high six figures. And in my experience, a large amount of these agencies have scaled thanks to immense volume on either cold SMS or cold email. Worth noting, if you're going to scale an agency with outbound, it is always through the quantity play. After a while, your biggest bottlenecks will be eyeballs. And there will be other ways for you to create leverage at that point. I still prefer ads by a long shot. It's more predictable, controllable, and a lot more fun, in my opinion. However, you can make a lot more money or no, not a lot more money, but a lot of money from cold outreach as well. I want to say this. First of all, if you're going to scale outreach, it is always through the quantity play. You're never going to scale outreach through the quality play, but this is a great way to get the first few clients. I also want to say, you know, if like any preconceived notions that cold outreach doesn't work, although I've, you know, really preached ads above cold outreach, it's still people making disgusting amounts of money, more than I've ever made from an agency or like any of my businesses, with cold outreach. I just spoke to a friend of mine who they were running like probably between 5 and 10,000 messages a day on SMS, and they were doing between 150 and 200 grand a month, and then they exited for multiple. That agency they exited for multiple 6 figures as well. So they sold the agency, and they never spent, you know, $1 in ads. They were managing like 100 clients at the peak of it. I also know I've seen agencies like do $3 million a month strictly off of cold email. But once again, it's always through the quantity play. If you're running cold SMS, don't half-ass it by doing 300 messages a day, because that's not enough volume. And if you're doing LinkedIn outreach, don't half-ass it by sending boring openers. You have to use it to its fullest. The first thing we have to do, and we have to do this to launch the ads anyway, so I'm just doing this a module early because we need this for the ads in the next module as well. But we need to register either a toll-free number or a local number with the A2P verification through Go High Level. And I could kind of run you through. I'll put in a recording of how to do that as well right after. But you essentially need to buy a phone number inside of Go High Level to send the outreach via SMS. And this is also the same type of number that we use to connect the AI dollar when, you know, calling up all the leads that come in through the application form on the website. So you click essentially add phone number. You go to phone system inside of the settings tab of your sub account, and then you click add phone number and make sure you have United States on the country. If you're planning to run the campaigns outside of the US, you buy a local number in your country. If you're running it in Spain or any other European country, although this usually comes with a few more complications. Here's the thing as well. If I were you and I'm planning to, I would always run my agency in the US. If you're planning to run it locally, I would either do it through ads, or I would send, you know, LinkedIn outreach. SMS can work, but it's harder to deal with the volume. So then you have to use SMS as the quality play all of a sudden, which can be a bit more complicated. But it still definitely works, and we've done this in the Swedish market as well. You click filter and then you untick local or toll-free depending on what number you want to buy. We have always used toll-free. It works great as well. Some people recommend local for like higher pickup rate and stuff like that. I don't think it's a big deal. So you can use toll-free numbers for now, and it's going to be easier to verify. For the US, a local number has a better pickup rate because it comes across more naturally. However, I would recommend you start off with a toll-free number. For a local number, you need to register an LLC. You need a registered LLC before you can even get the A2P verification set up. You don't need a registered business whatsoever to, you know, get a toll-free number, so that's a lot easier. So start with a toll-free. If you're planning to run SMS long-term, you can upgrade to a local one to increase the deliverability, but you're going to be more than fine with the toll-free to start off with. Choose any number, doesn't matter which one, you're going to be provided by a list of numbers. For local numbers, you can even filter based on area codes. In the tab on the top, you search by digit or phrases. If you're planning to run SMS in California, for example, you could type 213, which is the area code of Los Angeles, to get only Los Angeles numbers if you're running it locally, or 305, or the other one, which is 7 something for Miami. But this is only if you're running it very locally. This doesn't matter if you're getting a toll-free number. All toll-free numbers look the same. You pick any number and then you click proceed to buy once it's purchased, and it will say verification required in yellow text underneath the number. So if you click on that, you get to a 3-step application that you need to complete in order to get the number verified and start using it. This can be complicated. The A2P verification is completely different for local, but I'll teach you how to set up the toll-free because that's what most of you are going to use in the beginning. So there's a 3-step application form that you need to fill in and send that in order to get the number verified, because the number needs to be verified before you can use it. The first step is business and contact information. So that's pretty self-explanatory. It's legal entity name, name of your business, doesn't have to be registered. So additional personal information about your business, doing business as, the business. You kind of fill in the business type, personal email, your personal phone number, URL to your website. That's about all you need. The second step is just where you and your business is located. It's pretty self-explanatory. You're going to see it on the second part of the application. And then here, the third page, this is where it gets kind of complicated. But if you fill in all this, you're going to be fine. This is messaging use case, so essentially where you're going to use the number for. Very important that this gets done correctly. 9 times out of 10, a toll-free number gets rejected because of misalignment between the different pages of the application. If one page says one thing about your business and the next one doesn't match, that's always what's going to reject your number. So if you like have one business name that doesn't match the website URL, or anything, like it's always going to be because it's just like misalignment or disalignment. So on the third page of the application, it's 6 different things that you have to fill in. One of them is called estimated monthly volume, opt-in type, use case categories, opt-in workflows, image URL, use case description, and then the last one is message content. Literally fill in all of these. On monthly volume, I'll just do 1,000. That's usually what works the best. Do web form on opt-in type. Use case categories, do customer care and marketing. Fill in both of them. Opt-in workflow image URLs. Here's where you need to take a screenshot of the opt-in form that I went through in module 3 of the websites. Take a screenshot of the opt-in form on your website and then upload that picture into media storage on your GHL account. So click the 3 dots on the picture once you've uploaded it into media storage. Media storage is on the first page of the sub account. You can click there. That's where you have all the pictures and videos, and when you're uploading your VSL later on Go High Level, that's where you have everything. And then you click get link and then paste that link into this part of the application. So you essentially take that URL and then you paste it into where it says opt-in workflow image URLs on the third page of the application. Use case description, literally just copy this from this document, fill in the exact same stuff, you'll be accepted for use case description. And then message content, I would just do hi John or hi David, some name. It's your name, so fill in your name here from your company name. And here I would usually just do the website domain. So just fill in the domain of your website so you have the company name. Thanks for opting in to receive SMS notifications. I just saved the time for you on Friday, March 27th, 2025 at 4 p.m. I'll see you then. If anything changes, just let me know. If you need to opt out, reply stop. So just replace this with your name, your company name, and then literally just paste this in there and you'll be fine. Once you've sent this in for application, it usually takes 12 to 48 hours to get the number verified. If the number gets rejected, which isn't uncommon, and it's completely fine if it happens, reach out to GHL support and speak to them directly. Usually we have to, on average, we usually have to apply for the number 2 times, maybe even 3 to get it verified. But this is like, if you fill this in, you're going to be good. And then if any issues pop up, like you can read on, it will always be an error code that states the reason for why your number got rejected. So then you can speak to GHL support and get it verified after that, and you'll be good to go. Go High Level has some of the best support in the world. You can speak one-on-one to like a support person. You'll be added to a waiting room. On the agency view of your account, I would just click on the top right corner. You have essentially a blue button with a white question mark. You click that one, you click start Zoom, and then you kind of explain a bit about your situation. And then you get added to the waiting room, you fill in your name, and then you can speak to them directly. So that's a great way to do that. Usually it takes 12 to 48 hours before, it can be as quick as up to 12 hours, but usually it's like 48 hours to get an answer. So either it gets rejected or it gets verified. To sign up for Go High Level, which is the all-in-one CRM, you have the link down below. You have all of our snapshots, everything that we have used for my agency and all of our clients. You have all the snapshots that comes with the sites, the funnels, the pipelines, the customized, the custom fields, custom values, everything that you need to run your agency essentially. If you sign up on the link down below, you'll have everything in there. And then cold SMS scripts. The idea of running cold SMS is to send an opener, let that lead respond, and then call them up immediately after response to make a quick pitch, and then book them in for an appointment. So we're not booking them in. It's essentially cold calling leads with warmer traffic. We're not calling them up, or we're not booking them in via text for an appointment. We're sending an opener, and that's literally just optimized to get a response out of them. And then after that, we just call them up, book them in for an appointment. This is usually the structure I would use per sub account. So if you're hiring a team to do this for you, you have 2 VAs, virtual assistants, and then you have an SDR to essentially call up the leads and book them in. So VAs are responsible for sending out all the volume, scraping the leads, uploading them as CSV files into Go High Level, which we'll go into all in the video, walking through everything in a second. And then just sending out all the volume. So they were responsible for, sending out the SMS campaigns every single day. And then you have an SDR, usually that has the Go High Level app, so they can call up and dial in the leads that respond positively to this type of message. And, we'll call them up after that. And they'll book them in for an appointment. And then we have all the back-end operations, like pre-call processes to send reminders that they have a call, to book them in for an appointment and speak to them directly. Every sub account usually handles 500 messages per day. I wouldn't go past 500. It lets you go up all the way to 3,000 per sub account, but your account is going to get restricted. So do 500, and then if you want to increase that, you have a second sub account. So usually I would have like 1 VA per sub account, send it out, and then you let the SDR have access to both sub accounts so they can dial in the leads. I want to say as well, you're going to be completely fine running this entire system by yourself in the beginning. You don't need VAs or SDRs to do this. Everything that I'm about to teach in the video that I'll show in a bit, you can do that by yourself fully. So you don't need this to begin with. This is only if you want to scale up. And this, once again, really only makes sense in a few niches like real estate, HVAC, roofing. But, most of the time you're going to be better off doing this by yourself, signing a few clients, a handful, and then taking the money, investing into ads. That's really my suggestion for anybody trying to start an agency. SMS being automatically sent out by VAs, so it's only Monday to Friday. That's when the businesses are open, and then 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Always adapt to the time zone of the market you're heading after. So let's say you're sending out a campaign to a California-based, or like only leads in California 1 week, and then you're switching to Texas. It's different time zones. You have to adapt this. It's not going to be a huge difference because it's only like between EST and PST in the US market, but you still got to adapt to this pretty much. And I'll show you how to do that in the video as well. So yeah, download the GHL app to get directly notified when lead response. Speed to lead is key. So ideally we want to call them up within 10 minutes after they respond positively. We can call them up and book them in for an appointment. If we later call them up after 10 minutes, it's going to massively decrease the reply rate of the leads. So make sure to have your phone in hand and call them up directly. And these are some of the scripts that we just want to run. This is pretty much the opener that we send. Once again, we're not optimizing to nurture them and tell them anything about the offer. We're just getting a yes out of them. So then we can call them up, nurture them, book them in for an appointment, and that's when we can kind of, explain our offer in more detail. So usually we just do hi, contact first name. We want to have this custom field as well. So we can send it out. It gets customized to the name as well. I've got a few niche. So let's say you're in real estate. You could do like buyer, seller. I've got a few buyer, seller leads sitting in the pipeline. Or if you're doing roofing, got a few roofing or leads looking for roofing services sitting in the pipeline. Are you able to take them right now? If you're down, just reply yes, and I'll show you the details. By the way, my name is Sebastian. That's not an automated message. Haha. Or not an automated message. You also want to, like this, have this just like this. Don't do all caps or anything because it looks automated. The point of this is just like making it look like we're just sending a message to the roofing company down the street, because otherwise it looks automated. So this is just the entire strategy we want to run. Another one could be, hey, is this the best number for the owner at business name? I was going to reach out because we just helped another roofing company, for example, in city, enrolled 9 new customers this month, and I think you'd like what we did. Mind if I send over some details? You could also add something like this is not an automated message, this is my name. Another good one is quick question. If I could drop X number of new niche clients in your calendar this month, would you be able to handle them? No pitch, just wondering what your current capacity looks like. Note that this is not, we're not explaining anything about the AI or anything, what we're doing about the offer. That should be communicated later on, because really the only thing that they care about is getting new leads or just growing their company. So we're just optimizing the opener to get a yes out of them. Whatever we can do that's still like briefly correlated to our offer that we can get a yes out of them, that's what we want, and then we can call them up. So that's the entire intention of this kind of system. And then follow up, you there, if you're interested, you just reply yes, I don't want to waste these leads. And then follow up to 48 hours after the opener. Last message on this, just want to check if you're looking for new clients right now. All good if you're not, but if you are, just reply yes and I'll send the info over. That's kind of what we do. If you do this with enough volume and you track everything properly, you will book meetings. This is literally probably the best way of running outreach there is, because it allows you to send so much volume. Your only goal for the initial message of the SMS script is to get the lead to reply yes, to where we then can call them up, briefly pitch them on our offer, and then book them in for a proper appointment. Until you sign your first client, I'd suggest you take care of this entire sequence by yourself. Once you build some momentum, you can put a setter in place to take care of everything front to back. And if you ever get further with SMS, you build small mini teams, so 2 VAs and 1 SDR. This is kind of the team that I would run. You build them into like mini teams, so you let like this team take care of 2 sub accounts. You have 2 VAs and 1 SDR and 2 sub accounts, and they just like kind of switch. And that's when you're like, if you're in real estate, for example, and you just want to run SMS instead. Once again, I'm not preaching this way of running it. I would rather you just run ads and help you build a team that way. But this is still like, I'm just teaching you how to kind of scale in the future, because you're gonna be fine running this all by yourself pretty much up until you're at, I mean, if you sign 2 or 3 clients, you're gonna be at 10K a month. So, and you don't need a team to get to that volume. So you're gonna be fine anyways. To take care of everything, this is really only applicable if you're looking to avoid running ads for some reason and you're operating in a niche where SMS is extremely applicable for that or to that specific sales process, real estate, for example. Also, the SDR script, this is where when we call them up and book them in for an appointment. So after they've responded yes, hey name, this is your name calling from your agency name. We're just texting earlier about getting leads, getting AI set up for your business. Did I catch you at the right time? If yes, continue. If no, ask when to call back. Refresh. Perfect. Just to recap, we help your niche businesses within this area set up AI growth solutions to handle calls, text, and inquiries 24/7. We also plug in our AI marketing system that brings us new customers automatically. We actually just helped another business in your area implement X. And pause here. Let them respond. To ask a quick question, just so you're not speaking and putting words in their mouth. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page. Are you mainly looking to save time on calls or more focused on getting new customers coming in? This is also the different like stages they're in business. We want to identify this as early on as possible. Awesome, that makes total sense. What we normally do is just a short strategy call, about 15 minutes, where we go over, where we show you how the AI system would look for your business and what kind of results we expect. We'll also go over the pricing and setup options, so you can see if it's a fit. This is also a big thing that we've noticed, ironically. Like, a lot of prospects just want to hear the pricing straight away, and that's like a big thing for them. So if we say that on the sales call, if we book them in for a sales call, we'll show them the actual pricing. That's a big thing for them as well. And they're happy to hop on a sales call just to even see if that's within their budget. It's not, correlated to anything, but we have seen that across, running the system for quite a lot of agencies. Book the appointment. 30 seconds. Do you have a few minutes later today or tomorrow morning work better for you? Give 2 clear options. This doubles your booking rate, because if you just ask are you okay with booking a meeting anytime soon, you rather want to say just there's a few minutes later today or tomorrow morning work better for you. You're just giving the option to choose choose between which time instead of choosing if you want to do it or not. I also want to say book them in as early into the future as possible, because the earlier you book them in, let's say it's later today or tomorrow morning, the higher the show up rate is going to be. If you book them in for 2 weeks from now, there's guaranteed nobody's going to show up. That also goes for a Calendly link, both for the ads later on, and also if you're sending them a Calendly link, which most of the time is not going to be the case, but you only want to give them the option to book 4 days into the future. That's kind of the sweet spot between it's still short enough into the future where they're going to remember the appointment, but it also gives them enough room to make sure that they actually have time one of those days. If you send them a Calendly link and they can book 3 weeks into the future, there's no way they're booking in or they're going to show up to that appointment. They're going to forget about it. If they book a time, perfect, I'll lock that in for you, day and time. What's the best email to send the calendar invite to? Confirm and repeat back to avoid errors, and make sure to collect both the email and the phone number from them. Phone number you usually already have, but if there's a better phone number to reach them at, you collect that as well. Make sure to collect the email. That's the most important thing, because then you can send reminders as well, which is very important. Close warmly, awesome name. You're all set for day and time. You'll get a quick confirmation from us. Talk soon, and I think you really like what we're building. So that's pretty much it. And then I'll also run you through exactly how to do that in the next video, and how to set everything up and how to scrape the leads and all that stuff. Alright, so this is going to be a full walkthrough of how to run the SMS, fully front to back, all the lead scraping, how to source all the leads, upload all the company information into Go High Level, and how to automate the entire system front to back pretty much. I've optimized this entire sequence to make it as cheap as possible. I assume most of you guys that are going to run SMS in the beginning instead of ads are going to want to save as much money as possible. So unless, like, I've had clients that we have consulted in the past that have spent like $200, $300, $400 a month on lead scraping, because to scrape leads and get public company information from businesses can be expensive. And if that's you, like if you're spending $400 a month, you're better off just putting that money towards ads anyways. So aside from Go High Level's own fees that they charge per SMS, this is fully free to run. $0 spent on lead scraping, which is amazing. And Go High Level charges like, I think it's like $0.008 per SMS sent. With SMS, you're a bit more restricted. You have to be within 160 characters, and with MMS, that's a bit more flexible. You're paying like $0.02 per message. So let's say you're running SMS. I mean, 1,000 messages would then be like 7.9, so $8. That's 1,000 leads. Most of you are going to run 500 messages per day, which is 15,000 a month. And that's what I would limit each sub account to. If you decide to scale later on the SMS up to like bigger numbers, you could do, you could create a second sub account and another sub account to then run, because I would limit it to 500 messages per day per sub account. Otherwise you get restricted. So that would be, well, let's say you're running 500 a day, 15K a month, $8 per 1,000 leads, so 15 times 8, that's 120. So you're spending $120 a month on like SMS fees, which is like fully doable for most of you running this. And if you don't want to do that, like you're going to be fine with running less volume than that as well. So I'll go through everything front to back. You're going to go to the contact section of Go High Level. This is where you run all the SMSs from, and then you head to yellowpages.com. This is the main like website for public company information in the US. I apologize if the sun gets in the way, by the way, but we're gonna stick through it. We have tried a few different pages, but this is the main one. So you have the Yellow Pages. You literally search any business that you want to target. Let's say you want to do HVAC and California, literally the business and the location, and then you click find. And you're gonna be provided with literally thousands of businesses and the number to each one of these businesses. And like usually most people would just like take these numbers and dial them one by one, but and you see like 3,000 businesses is 1 to 30, it's 30 pages. If it says 3,000, it's more than that anyway. So you have literally unlimited business to reach out to. Then what you gotta do is you come to Instant Data Scraper. So you literally just search Instant Data Scraper Chrome extension, and you come to this one. It looks like a Pokeball, and you click add. It's probably going to say add. This is in Swedish, but you click this one, and then you add the extension, and it's going to be added up here in the top right corner to the puzzle logo. So it looks like this. And then you just head back into Yellow Pages, and then you click on the Instant Data Scraper, and pretty much immediately, let me check, it's loading. There we go. Immediately you're going to be, all the company information is going to be sourced in one place. Keep in mind, this is only 30 businesses. You can only scrape one page at a time. So you have to do this quite a lot of times. So we download this as a CSV file. So all the numbers is going to be in one place. You have all the numbers here. And then we head back into a brand new Google Sheet, because this is where you want to put all the leads in one place pretty much. Keep in mind this is in Swedish, but I'm running you through the buttons here. You come up here and then you click import, upload. You can browse all the downloads, and then the latest one is going to be Yellow Pages 8 CSV. So this one you download to have all the company information. And then for the first one, you're just gonna click on the second one, which is pretty much like just add to new page, and then you import all the data. And then all the data is going to be in one place. And then the reason you want this in a separate Google Sheet is because once you scrape the second page of leads, so all these within the red has been scraped, you go to the second page, and then you basically just do the same thing with the second page as well. So all these businesses, you come up here, and then you do the instant data scraper again. Then you have another batch of leads, so we download this one again, CSV file. We head back into the Google Sheet, and then this is important. You want to do the same procedure, but when you upload the leads, so we have yellow pages 9 CSV, you want to add this to the same, so this is added to existent. I guess this is the fifth one for you guys as well, but it's add to existent, or yeah, the same like page, essentially the same Google Sheet, because otherwise if you click the same one again, this one is just gonna like create another Google Sheet every single time, and you want everything in the same place. So you add it, and then you import the data, and all of a sudden you have 60 businesses with all the numbers collected in one place. Now you can see that it's going to be different columns for all the numbers. In one the numbers are here, and then the other one numbers are here. What you can do is, if you click on additions, this is what it says in Swedish, and you come to app scripts, here you can add a piece of code to align everything. So really the only thing we need is, this is also protected by the businesses itself, so it doesn't have the country code. This is a US number, excluding the country code, so the +1. We need to add this into every single one of these columns, because if we don't have the +1, it's not going to be added to Go High Level, so it will be a failure once we try to upload the leads. Make sure that, and you can do that with AI, literally take a screenshot of this, go to like Claude, and then just ask it for a code to import a +1 in front of every single number that's in this Google Sheet. And then you can tell it your problems and the issues, and where you want all the columns to be aligned, etc. That's a great thing with vibe coding and all these LLMs. So you can literally just tell them your issues, and it will help you out with whatever you need. But inside AppScript, here's where you have all the code. So you could place that code that Claude gives you, and then just paste it inside of here, and then you have +1 in front of every single number. Once you have this, you will go up here, and then you click download, and then download this entire Google Sheet as a CSV file as well. So as we did with all the leads inside of Instant Data Scraper, you download all these as a CSV file, and then we have this download here as well. I would also name this, if you're doing like HVAC California leads V1. Let's say we want to name this so we don't like mix things up with each other. I would download this as again, because then you're gonna have the name of it up here, and then you head back into Go High Level, and this is where you're gonna import all the leads. So you come to the contact section, you click import, import contacts only. Untick opportunities, you don't have to have this ticked. Only contacts. The difference between contacts and opportunities. Opportunities is basically like contacts is just company information, so it's what you upload. And opportunities is a contact within the pipeline, but you can add that on manually later on. You don't have to have this in now. So you just come to contacts, and then you head to next, and then you click on here to upload the file. You come to downloads, and then you have this right here, HVAC California leads V1. Click open, and then make sure you have it create and update contacts. So make sure that that's ticked. You click on next, and then this is where you want to map the fields for essentially map all the company information that you want to download. The only thing that you need in order to download or upload leads into Go High Level is an identifier. So either an email or a phone number. That's the two things that you're going to need to upload the leads. So on phones, this is really the only thing you need mapped. You're going to have all the phone numbers, and then make sure that this is set to, it's naturally going to be set to additional phones. Make sure that this is set to phone. We have street address is mapped as well. You could also create, if you want to, in the settings section, you could create custom fields to have it inside of here. So if we want like additional info, see, one of these is probably created by, that we have created ourselves. Years in business, for example, this is one that we created just to have some additional info about the leads, but you don't need it. Really the only thing, if it could help to just have things systemized if you want a bit more structure, but you're going to be fine just uploading the leads and having the phone number as well. So as long as you map the phone numbers as phone, That's pretty much it. And then you just click don't import data from 27 on map columns. Click next. You could create a smart list once again for a bit more structure if you want to name this like HVAC leads V1 or campaign 1 if you want to. It's not necessary. Let's just leave this unticked for now. And then you can kind of leave unticked as well. If you want to import these to a workflow, you can do that later on as well. You don't have to do it now. So literally just click confirm and then start bulk import. Go to contacts now, and then hopefully, unless we have any issues, this will take a bit of time sometimes, but we'll have all the contacts uploaded in one place. So I'll kind of show you what it looks like and when we're sending out the SMS as well. Sometimes this takes a minute or two to be properly uploaded. So now I just headed into a different sub account just to demonstrate how this procedure usually looks like. Once again, you gotta make sure that the country code is added inside of the Google Sheet. Now it's just a bunch of different numbers here with different country codes. But I'm just trying to show you what to do once you have the contacts uploaded. Also, if you have any technical issues, the best way to go about this is always to ask GHL support. So you just click the blue button up here and the white question mark, and then you'll be added to kind of a chat bot. So you just tell it about your issues and all that stuff, and then you can hop on, be added to a waiting room, and then you can hop on one-on-one support with a GHL expert. That's what I would do if you face any technical issues. Everybody has technical issues with GHL, so that's nothing unusual, and everybody's going to have different issues as well. So if you have personal stuff that you want to clear up with them, just hop on a call with them. It usually takes 3 minutes, and then it will be all cleared. But in order to send out the actual SMS, once you have all the leads uploaded, you click up here above all the contacts. Now we have mapped 20. You can also select all 67 of them, but let's say we just want to do the first 20 of the batch. You can also customize this if you want to do. Most of you are going to run 500 messages per day, so regardless if you want to scrape 500 new leads every day, or if you want to scrape like 15,000 leads at once, upload them and then just do 500 a day, you can do that as well. That's up to you. But to just do what makes it easier for you to structure everything and keep track of everything, that's going to be the easiest. And then you click more. Sometimes, as you see, send email is going to pop up for you here. Some of you are going to have different displays. In my case, it's more, and then send SMS. You write an action name, so that could be HVAC campaign V1. Can't write V1, and then you pick the number that you need. So you're gonna have a verified toll-free number or a local number, depending if you pick a local or a toll-free to send all the SMSs with. Pick an SMS template. You can leave this blank, and then this is where you type the message. So most of you have the script earlier on from the outreach module that you can use here. I would just do hey, and then you can also add a custom value. So that could be contact first name, for example. You want it to be structured like that, and that's so if you have mapped, now we haven't mapped the actual first name of every business. This could also be like the business name, whatever custom value you want to have here, or you could just leave this blank. It doesn't really matter. This is nothing that like really increases the deliverability, or not the deliverability, but the positive reply rate. But let's just say we want the contact first name. First name, and then I've got let's say you're sending for realtors. I've got a few buyer seller leads sitting in the pipeline. Wanted to know if you're to take them right now. If you're interested, just reply yes, and I'll give you the details. This is one that we use a lot for. This is niche neutral. It works great for every type of niche, so this is one that you can use as well. By the way, my name Sebastian, and this is not an automated message. Just to make it seem natural. Once again, this entire like idea of this type of SMS sequence is you just want to like send an SMS for the realtor or the roofing company or the HVAC company that just lives down the street. and just like, I've got a few leads sitting in the pipeline that we're full right now, we can't take these. If you want to take them, like, just reply yes. Once again, I would have this as, you could do it like this, just to make it more clear for what the call to action is. The only intention of this message is just for them to reply yes to your message. That's literally all we want them to do, but it looks a bit robotic, so I just have it like this. You're gonna get responses if this is the message. Once again, we're not mentioning anything about AI or anything about actually about our offer. Our only intention with this is to get them to reply yes, and this is also such a small percentage of the entire sales process. So by the time we actually have built enough trust and spoke with them to the point where they actually want to give us their money for the service that we're providing, they're not going to care about what they said in this message. A lot of people are like worried if we say that we have leads to give them, like, are they going to be skeptical towards that? You're not going to have any issues. So hey, contact first name. I've got a few buyer seller leads. This could also be like leads that are looking for roofing services, or leads that are looking to, whatever it is that, they're servicing to their customers, leads that are essentially searching for the services. You could send all at once, but to just optimize for account safety and not make anything too spammy, I would send it in drip mode. So essentially you send out a batch of messages here and there throughout the day. So if you're sending 500 messages, you could send like 15 messages every 10 minutes for the entire day until the 500 is sent out. Select day and time. Let's say we want to start this on, it's currently Tuesday, so let's say we want to start this on Monday the 13th, because usually we run these campaigns between Monday and Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. During the opening hours of that business. That's when they're going to be the most active. I would usually just set this to midnight as well. So whatever that is, 12 a.m. for example. There we go. That's when we start it. And then number of messages per batch, that could be like 15. Repeat after 10 minutes. So then we have 15 messages out of these 500 being sent out every 10 minutes. Untick Saturday and Sunday. So we only want to send these out between Monday and Friday. This is once again to just make sure that we're not wasting any leads. If you're sending out a bunch of messages during nighttime or on Saturdays or Sundays, the reply rate is going to be a lot lower and just like wasting leads. So make sure you set it to this, and then you can start at like, once again, 9 a.m. To, let's do 5 p.m. and then I confirm. You just have to tick that box as well. Make sure that this is set as well. If you're running it in the US, it's like a additional change that you can make, but 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. In the time zone of where your businesses are located. So if you want to send it to, these are in California, for example. Let's say you want to send 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. In California. Make sure that your entire account settings or your account that week is set to the time zone of your business, because then it's going to send out 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. in California instead of 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. in PST or even in Europe. For some of you guys that are going to run the SMS in the US, but you're living in Europe, those messages are going to be sent during evening or during night, which is going to massively decrease the reply rate. So, and also you could also set this to like PST or like Mountain Time or Central Time in the US, and then it's just going to be an hour or two off when you're sending the SMS. You could do that as well. That's not going to make a huge damage to delivery, but if you really want to optimize, this is what I would do. Then you just send the SMS, and then these SMSs are going to be sent out 15 per batch every 10 minutes throughout the day until it's reached 500, and then all of the conversations, you manage them from here. These are just like opt-ins that we've had, so we haven't ran anything on this account. You have all here, and then you can also star the conversations that are like closer to becoming an appointment, or that you like want to speak to. Just make sure that if you have one lead that is weighing towards an appointment more than the other ones, you can star them. And then once you've gotten a yes out of them, so you've sent a message, the only thing that we want out of them is a yes. That's when you dial the leads and call them up. Or either you do this yourself, or you hire a VA or an SDR or a setter. You can do that on Upwork, or even on some like Discord channels, whatever it is, or on Instagram as well. And you let them take care of the entire system front to back, and then you send them an SOP I could actually add an SOP to the document. So once you guys download this document for the outreach model, that SOP is going to be within the document. I think that's probably easiest to do. So that's an SOP. It goes through everything. It's kind of like an SOP and a contract in one. An SOP is a standard operating procedure. For you guys that don't know, it's essentially just requirements for the setter to follow once they work for you, and you don't have to explain that on a call. They're able to just like read that in one document. Once we get a yes out of them, you want to call them up and then just explain about your offer and the script that I just went through in the document as well. And this is pretty much it. I've seen so many people, once again, like this is the system, but at scale. This is like the foundation for the system that is responsible for many 6 and even 7-figure agencies. You know, if you're willing to do a lot of volume with this system, you can make a lot of money from it. Just make sure to be consistent with the follow-ups. Have the Go High Level app downloaded on your phone, because you're not going to be notified through your computer once you get a positive reply from Go High Level. Or from a lead, but if you have it on your phone, it's going to be a lot easier, and the speed to lead is crucial as well. So if you're able to call them up 5 minutes after they've responded positively, that's going to massively increase the chances of them responding and actually being positive towards what it is that you're offering as well. So that's pretty much it. Good luck with this. This is such a great system, and the reason why we only really go through this alongside LinkedIn is because if you're running cold outreach, there's no point in doing anything else in this. So I've seen a lot of people, sign their first 3, 4, 5 clients with this, and I've also seen a lot of people have this as the foundation for a multi-6-figure agency that they've exited after that as well. I wouldn't recommend this for all niches. Once again, if you're running to more like front desks or like clinics or businesses that have bigger corporations, you got to be better off running ads or maybe even LinkedIn. But if you're targeting especially real estate, I mean real estate is one of the niches where I would even recommend SMS above ads. But also if you're running it towards roofing or HVAC in the beginning, you're going to be fine running SMS, and this is so cheap. It's a system that allows you to send 15,000 messages a month and paying like roughly $100, as we just said previously. So you're going to be good with running this, and I'm excited for you guys to see results with this as well. So that's pretty much it for the SMS module. The second one is LinkedIn or warm outreach, and this is what I would recommend for the quality play. This is the complete opposite of running cold SMS, but if you do this correctly, this can really work. And I'll tell you some funny stories about this as well. LinkedIn is the opposite of any other volume-based outbound marketing. Your quantity of messages within a short period of time is extremely limited on LinkedIn, although there's a bunch of other ways to build leverage. So here you're pushing heavy on the platform and your profile instead of just running a bunch of volume. That's your way to build leverage. And when running SMS, your way of building leverage is the volume. Here it's more the platform and who you are and who you position yourself as. LinkedIn is how I got my first client ever and how I booked my first 25 plus sales calls. If you do it correctly, there's an insane amount of opportunity on LinkedIn. My first 2 sales calls ever was both Dubai-based realtors with both of them probably had 8-figure investment portfolios when it comes to real estate. I spoke to them, and we're just offering kind of like all-in-one marketing services, like helping them kind of like structure courses and do their marketing and get them more leads and get them more business in general. Like that's kind of what my initial offer was. Not very precise, but that was what I started with. But still, like I booked my first 2 sales calls, and that's not to shy away from the other 25 sales calls that we booked before we started to switch into more ads and content. But this was, and I didn't close them obviously because I had 0 sales experience, but I literally hopped on calls with people that had like 8-figure, investment portfolios in real estate in Dubai and London. Both were UK based initially. I moved over to Dubai. But, with that said, LinkedIn outreach is 80% about the profile, 20% about the actual message. Your way to build leverage on platforms like this is who you are, who you frame yourself as, not how you communicate your offer. Your offer is not the biggest thing anymore, it's you. And that's the good thing of LinkedIn is if you have a sense of like building, or you have a brand awareness and you know how to build a good brand and set up a good profile, like you can actually come pretty far with LinkedIn outreach. So it doesn't have to be more complicated than this. I would really prioritize getting to 500 connections as soon as possible. because that will, once you're at 500, it just says 500 plus, and it will really like increase your status. The top people on LinkedIn have 500 plus connections, and some people that have been on LinkedIn for 3 weeks has 500 connections. But if you only have, a few hundred, that's gonna make it harder for you. So it's usually a 2-week process to get to 500 connections, 2 to 3 weeks, and then that's really going to increase your deliverability on the messages. 500 plus connections, headline, I help. This is the framework that I would have. I never use LinkedIn anymore, unless it's from people coming inbound. This is not the most optimized profile, but this is what it looks like at the moment. I help specific type of small businesses or businesses. It could be as well. I help specific type of business owners generate X result through your service special mechanism, that could be AI licensing infrastructure, for example, without common pain points. So this is where you have to dive deep into market research as well to understand what their common pain points are. But I would just have that here. I wouldn't necessarily have founder. You can if you want to, but it doesn't really add any value, and most of the time it's not a huge corporation you're running anyways, so you could just skip that and just have the headline. And that's pretty much it. Have a good profile picture, and a good banner as well, kind of representing what you do. This is not a good banner in my opinion, but as I said, I don't really use LinkedIn at the moment. LinkedIn Sales Navigator as well. You need the Sales Nav, which you can sign up for a 30-day free trial, and this just gives you more access, less limited on a connection standpoint. You can send way more messages when you have LinkedIn Sales Navigator. I would even say, unless you're willing to spend money on, because you're paying a monthly fee for this after the 30-day free trial, I wouldn't say it's worth running LinkedIn outreach. But with that said, it's also a bit of like pay to play on LinkedIn. Like, people know if you have Sales Nav, they know that you're not completely unserious, which is a good thing as well. But you could easily sign your first client within those first 30 days of having the free trial anyways. Good profile pic and good banner. That's pretty much everything. And then the holy trinity of LinkedIn openers, personalized video, talking head. So literally like this, just, explain about your offer, make one for each lead. So these are very personalized. This is low volume, but extremely high reply rate because it's so personal. So how you personalize it is you literally film a video for each lead. You say their name. Just make sure you have a solid background, and if you're on a quality-based platform, you might as well use it to its fullest potential. So even if you might only be sending 30 videos a day, but it's going to perform extremely well since they're so personalized. I used to do this. I would used to send probably 30 to 40 of these every single day, and just track them in a simple like LinkedIn tracking sheet where I track the performance of everything. I used to have probably at the height of it, probably a 7-8% booking rate, meaning for every 100 messages I sent out, I was booking like 7 or 8 appointments, which is pretty impressive. You're not going to be at that booking rate for SMS, so that's what I'm saying. That's why you want to use the platform to its fullest potential. This is the exact script that I used when I used to send videos. Hey name, hope you're doing well. Look, I see you do some amazing stuff at their real estate company. Usually their like company name, I would look it up and then say, I see you do some amazing stuff at their company name, or just within real estate. I used to say as well, I see you doing some amazing stuff within real estate. And I wanted to ask you, name, again, would you be open to adding an extra $20,000 to $50,000 in new MRR to your business? I'm asking because I've got an opportunity to help you do exactly that on a complete pay and results basis, meaning if we don't get results, we don't get paid. However, the last thing I want to do right now is to pitch a bunch of stuff without your permission, with laughing tone. So I won't say anything just yet. However, if you are open to receive some more information on how this works and how we've done this for other clients, then just send me a thumbs up, because that's like I think that's the first or like the second reaction emoji on LinkedIn. So it's simple for them to just like react with a thumbs up, and then you can send some more info after that. Then just send me a thumbs up and I'll send over some more information, and if not, don't worry about it. This is the way I would send it out to everybody. It really works, like truly, if you track this properly as well. You don't even really have to track it, but you have to keep track of which leads you're in the sales process with. Since it's a pretty manual way of doing outreach, you have no way to automate this really. But as I said, I used to send 30 to 50 of these a day and book 2 calls a day on the low end. Very low volume compared to something like SMS. But if you're willing to put in the effort, it works extremely well. And then I would just follow this up with, is the above cool with you name? And then second follow up, did you get the video that I sent you name? So I'd send this like 24 hours after. If they didn't respond, and then 48 hours after if they didn't respond. And then the second one is, if you don't want to make videos and rather send out a more generic message at a faster pace, this is the opener that we've always used. That's the highest reply rate. So I would still recommend this because this performs a lot better if you're willing to put in the work for it. By the way, the beauty of this is it doesn't have to be like a good video. You can kind of slip up. Like some leads would even think it's kind of like funny, and it's almost good in a way if you kind of slip up with the script. You don't need to, look professional or anything. You just need to do a video and, like say their name. Like saying their name makes a huge, it's a huge thing because you're expressing the fact that this is not automated anyway. Like you can't automate a message like this, and you're not just like sending a video generic to everybody. So say their name. That's how you're gonna get the highest response rate. But if you just want to send openers, hey name, do you mind if I shoot you a quick question? This is literally one of the best openers that I've ever used on LinkedIn. Niche neutral, generic, no pitch, works every time. This sentence is probably the one I can type the fastest on my computer because I've typed it so many times. Send this opener, like this works super well. I used to book meetings with this one as well. It's just like you initiate a conversation and then you can work from there. But once again, like don't look at, if you're on LinkedIn, don't try to automate stuff. Like this is a manual platform, use it manually. If you want to get a setter in place, you can do that. But the one that is doing the outreach on LinkedIn should use it properly. So that's what I would do. And then the third one is an evergreen loom video, mini VSL. Record a 2-minute video, LinkedIn max length. You can't send a video above 2 minutes on LinkedIn. Breaking down the offer, who you help, how you help them, etc. Doesn't have to be personal, but still enough trust for them for leads to proceed. So the only difference between this and this wouldn't be a talking head. This would just be like, you could probably set it up with your phone horizontally and then do a quick like screen recording, a loom, just walking through your offer in a document, explaining the offer that you present to them. And then you record a 2-minute video, you send it to them. It's not personalized to their name, but it's so like complicated, and you're going over the offer with such precision that it doesn't really matter. Now, this is pretty much what I've used for LinkedIn. It works super well. It's nothing like I usually say, like there's no magic wand that you can pull in regards to outreach. You just have to do the work that is required. Like it's hard to gain leverage, but if you do these things, like it works super well, and you're gonna see, get your first few clients with this for sure. And so with the SMS, I already walked you guys through that. Yeah, that's pretty much everything for the outreach model. It's a bit of a shorter one, but the ads, I'm always going to be biased towards ads, but I'm always going to be biased towards ads, and that's what we're going to go through in the next module. So I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys in module 7.